Introducing the Brawl Stars Championship 2021. We're here to give you the latest scoop on the tournament, which comprises 8 seasons, each with 3 stages every month. Each season begins with the Championship Challenge, a global event where those who win 15 games before 3 losses advance to the next stage. The second stage of each season is the monthly qualifier, where players form organized teams and battle it out for points and glory within each region. And you guessed it, the third stage is the regional monthly final, where the top 8 teams from each qualifier play in broadcasted matches for even more points towards the World Finals. Now listen here, folks. Each region has allocated World Final slots. Here to help us take a regional tour is none other than our friend Spike. This year, we have 7 amazing regions competing in the tournament. Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Latin America, South. Mainland China. North America and Latin America, North. East Asia, Eastern Europe and Central Asia, and of course, Southeast and South Asia, Australia and New Zealand. Winners take home cash from a stash of over $1 million. We can't wait to see you there.
Hello, and welcome. It is the Brawl Stars September monthly finals here for the mainland China region. My name is Falcone. This beautiful man is Ark. We have got Teddy waiting to leap on and do some cast. I don't know where I was going with that, Ark. I don't know. That was exciting until it sort of fizzled out, you know?
Exactly. But I'm very pleased that you mentioned how beautiful it looked today. That was unexpected and very much necessary, I feel.
Never a question about that. Anyways, we have got plenty of exciting Brawl Stars games coming up for you today. But first, we should probably go over the format, which is something we're reminding you every single time we jump into the show because it's exciting. It's been a great year of Brawl Stars so far, and it's kind of sad that it's almost coming to its conclusion already. But still, the format for this show is we have got the top 8 teams, well, top 7 teams, we'll get into that in a minute. Top 8 teams battling it out. Best out of 3 for the quarterfinals, best out of 5 for the semifinals and the finals. And of course, each team is banning 2 brawlers in every single match. It's a single elimination bracket, so if you lose, you're going home. Although due to current situation, you're probably playing from home anyway. So if you lose, I guess you just, I don't know, turn your mobile device off. Like, what's the deal with that, Ark?
Yeah, so that's pretty much the go-to thing to do. Yeah, just turn that mobile device off. Of course, the 2 brawler bans make a huge difference as well this year. Teams are going to be making sure that they get those brawler bans on point. It can be very much map dependent, or sometimes sort of player dependent. Targeted bans seem to be all the rage these days.
Yeah, yes, targeted bans, respect bans, that kind of thing. One more thing, just touching on the format, is just a little number, small number, $1 million.
Not so little, actually, now you think of it.
That is what's up for grabs this year at the Brawl Stars, at least $1 million. And, we're going to be working out who gets the lion's share of that very, very soon. Worlds is just around the corner. But for now, I think we are ready to kick off today. We're actually gonna skip quarterfinal 1. It turns out that, unfortunately, the team that Nova was supposed to go up against weren't able to play today. And so Nova are going to get a bye for round 1, which means we're moving straight on to quarterfinal 2. It's going to be no people against HHM.
I feel like you're just trying to get rid of me early, Falcone. Yeah, straight into game number 3 today. No people versus HHM. Followed later on then by Trick of China against VCT Return. TIG Origin will face off against TKE also in the last quarterfinal game.
Now, we're going to take a look at the regional standings right now, but I'm going to just tell you it straight. This is just the way it is. As long as Trick of China and TIG Origin turn up today, the top 3 are locked in. That's it. They are your 3 teams qualifying for Worlds. Nova Esports, Trick of China, and TIG Origin. I think if one of the teams, Trick of China or TIG Origin, don't turn up today, then TKE technically have a chance to catch up and take the spot. But if they're not showing up, then I think we've got other problems to worry about.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough for them to have a look in. I mean, if a team don't show up today, it'll be definitely a first for me. Ultimately, second and third seeds can still have a potential to swap around. Over Esports have locked in that number 1 seed already. But yeah, I think it's a big sad for TKE.
Big sad indeed, unfortunately. But for now, we are going to jump into game number 1. Again, it is. Oh, I like their logos. NP versus 1,000 Burr. I wonder what that means. 1,000 Burr.
Very interesting team names. I do like the Tara logo, I've got to say, on that logo. But yeah, Unlucky, Gaki, and Kugu there as well. Love Burr, 1,000 and Green Eyes. Wonder what he does have, in fact, Green Eyes. Looks like he's ready to go to
I wonder if he
there.
has 1,000 Green Eyes. If you put the 2 names together, maybe between them they have 1,000 Green Eyes. That's really exciting. It's going to be no people against HHM. And let's take a look at the maps and modes for this first match. Double swoosh, gem grab, then some brawl ball and backyard bowl. And then if we get to set 3, it's going to be some siege on factory rush. A great way to start things off. Here's double swoosh. Ark, the question that will always pass the test of time. I'm going to ask you a little trivia. Why is it called double swoosh?
I'm not partaking in this. I refuse. Actively, I am putting my heels into the ground.
Count the swooshes, Ark. Count them. How many are there?
It's 2, Falcone.
Okay.
2.
Thank you for Thank you for humoring me. Let's take a look at the picks and bans. Brock, Byron, and Spike and Leon all banned today. What do you think of that? I haven't seen a Spike ban in a little while.
No, nor have I. Spike is pretty dominant in double switch, to be fair. So it looks to me like HHM kind of maybe putting that brawler ban in the early stage as a map dependent ban there. Can be usable in backyard ball for sure, but and factory rush as well. The defensive side of things can be very, very strong there too. I'm pleased to see the Leon ban, which I've been saying for the past few months. It's going to be a matter of time before we start to see that particular brawler actually be just on the ban lists. Nice to see him coming through. Brock, I think, is a very common ban now, even despite that kind of emergency nerf that we saw about a month back or a few weeks back now. Byron as well. Pretty decent, probably more for backyard bowl. I would say not really necessarily going to be seen in double swoosh. So that's probably a ban from no people for the later maps to come.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's just odd to me again that we're not seeing any of the sort of recent brawlers banned here. I mean, odd but exciting. It's something that I was complaining about for the first few months, the monthly finals, every single month. Oh, all the new brawlers are banned. Like, why do we even have new brawlers? They're just getting banned all the time. Wow, not today, as our more recent brawlers aren't really considered as strong, I guess, as the old ones. Here we go. Number one has started. We've got Amber, Bell, and Sprout up against Tara, Bell, and Pam. Okay, interesting. So we got the Bell on both sides. Otherwise, very different compositions.
Yeah, the thing is, sometimes teams want to play those brawlers themselves, and they'll like actually leave it open intentionally. Interesting to see Sprout mid there for me. Not my go-to mid. It's going to definitely, I mean, they're lucky, or sorry, unlucky is going to have to be lucky in that respect, and just ensure his position is safe and sound here as Loveburst has to push forwards, looking to gain his super early on. Some shots from Green Eyes connecting nicely actually in the mark there as well, firmly placed. So it's actually a pretty decent start early on for HHM. Gaki's going to break over this right-hand side, though. That bush now exposed is going to change the swing of the game a little bit.
It has. If you look at no people just creeping forward, Unlucky is doing a pretty good job of keeping control of the center. Green Eye is obviously marked, which is not a good position to be in. We've got Tara super on the right there. Isn't actually going to do anything. And the Tara goes down. Okay, a bit of a disaster for HHM. I feel like they've lost all semblance of their advantage.
But Green Eyes absolutely tapping on the right-hand side and moved over to the right lane, and rightly so, just to kind of make sure that he was able to clear up some of the rough there. He's honestly absolutely nailing a lot of these shots on that Bell mid, now going into the mid. Gonna get double teamed there by Unlucky, and Gaki is at the left-hand side, 1,000 trying to clear up the left-hand side lane. Unlucky goes to very low HP, but that photosynthesis star power coming in clutch.
Yeah, Unlucky's done a great job of staying alive. Then we saw an emergency super a few moments ago in order to dodge fire, and then, as you said, the everything else in Sprout's toolbox has been used to make sure Unlucky stays alive, despite being marked. And there you go. That is going to be game number one for No People. Despite a strong start from HHM, No People were able to take that one back in the end. They were able to solidify their control of the mid. And despite a very powerful Bell on the other side hitting many, many shots, Unlucky was able to stay alive and get the job done.
Yeah, I felt it was not necessarily a risky mid, but one that I've just not really seen played out for a long time. I did like the way that overgrowth there really helped out just to secure those gems. Again, it's all about making sure the star powers are on point for me. But look at that, 50% team damage there from Kugo. Like, just making sure to get everyone in the right places. 4 kills, 0 deaths as well is a pretty decent scoreline for him. I think it's fair to say.
Bell is extremely powerful, extremely accurate, extremely long range. Like, a lot of quivers to Bell's bow, as we can see, as both teams piloting their Bell very efficiently. But we'll have to see now how HHM are going to be changing things up, if they're going to be changing things up against No People. What was it? It was Pam and Tara, and we didn't really see the Pam or the Tara necessarily doing that much in that game. Do you think that we might see a little switch up?
I feel like Tara for me is always a good pick here. I think that's maybe just a bit more of the aggression would go a long way there. Honestly, if you've got that black hole to hand, yeah, it can be devastating. It's a game-turning thing. I'm just surprised to not see any Jean really. Jean for me is kind of like my preferred mid here. And I'm just surprised to have not seen that particular brawler once yet. I think that could be if teams do want to make any kind of adaptations, the way to go. Sandy mid, though, is a decent idea as well, though, from HHM. But yeah, it's still going to be this Sprout mid for No People. But I mean, it worked last time round, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yep. No people haven't changed their composition at all, and I can see why. Pam is going in! Oh, 1,000! Dominating No People's spawn area. Okay. Very interesting to see that. The healing turret goes up, and Lovely Bar is going to take advantage of that. Looks like HHM have got, oh, I was going to say a slightly better start to this, but Pam falling down is not the best position for them to be in. HHM have been pushed back.
Yeah, that is the case at the moment, but I did like the aggressive stance that came out there. Some good connecting shots from Unlucky onto Lovebird. Force back now, but the gems are tied. 1,000's going to be burning and singeing down. That's a double kill for No People, who will push up to collect these gems from the mid. One more to spawn. There we go on countdown. That is not the result that HHM were looking for.
Yeah, Unlucky has a wall ready to go as well to block off the advances. The Abbot's going to go down immediately. And Unlucky is just going to stay in position and take advantage of the projectiles to deal some damage. Gaki funneling the enemy team through the fire and flames. And that is going to be set number 1. Going to No People. Again, this was a much stronger game. Outside of the initial aggression from HHM's Pam, HHM just weren't really able to get a hold on this game.
Yeah, I agree. It was a really, really great start, a much better start. But ultimately, I did feel like Kugal for me on that left-hand side really held his lane. Marking Pam as well is a really good strategy to make sure that you do as the tankier of the comp. Again, I didn't really see any value from Lovebird on the Tara side of things, and you really need to have that aggressive stance if you're going to be able to have that particular brawler, really have much value there. But yeah, I think that, to be honest, the communication seemed on point as well for No People, especially if you're running Sprout in mid. You've got to make sure that those communications are on point to ensure that you're not overrun.
Yeah. Ultimately, we have seen what is a solid start from No People, and now we'll have to see if they can keep this going in Brawl Ball, or if Brawl Ball is the other team's opportunity to make a stand. After all, we've seen some pretty weird things in Brawl Ball over the last few months. We've seen some mad, fast plays, slow plays, surprising plays, sometimes from the team that we consider the underdog, just coming in and kicking some butts. So we'll have to see what they can do on a backyard ball. HHM have got their work cut out for them, though.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done. Some changes into their mindsets, and no doubt the brawlers as well that we're going to see here. The Leon ban, massively important here to note as well. It's going to definitely change a lot of the way that this map plays out. It's that long-range affair. The Byron pick here as well, I feel, was another good ban that was ideal to have eradicated. It would have definitely caused the problem with a lot of the tankier comps. But I'm expecting maybe some 8-bit here, actually. We've seen coming back a little bit. Max is a brawler which does tend to get used a little bit in mainland China also. But definitely keen to see what these two teams have got up their sleeve.
Do you think Bell's going to come out again? I mean, Bell seems very powerful at the moment, in particular whenever long-range brawlers are acquired. Piper and Brock was banned, right? So Piper seems to be taking a bit of a backseat. Nani as well. Nani, we used to see so much Nani whenever it was a long-range brawler map. And I guess we still do on Shooting Star, but it really does seem like Bell has taken the limelight these days.
We've seen a bit of Nani creeping into Heist recently as well. It's one of those brawlers just kind of on the verge of kind of becoming a bit more meta. I'm not sure. I mean, mainland China do have a lot of ideas. Piper, is a good choice, but it's just definitely one that struggles a little bit on that defensive. But we see it a lot played out in North America and LATAM North, adamantly so. And if you're able to kind of ensure that you're always controlling that mid position, it could be a really good go-to as well.
Yeah, no, that is true. Well, we will have to see any moment now. Set number 2 will start. Of course, this is only best out of 3 at the moment between No People and HHM. Support your favorite team in the chat with #NoPeople or #HHM. Let us know who you would like to see win. But here we go. You were right about the 8-bit there, Ark. It's going to be 8-bit Bell and Sprout up against Pam, Bell, and who's that ball on the bottom right? It's a Crow. Okay.
Yeah. I really like the Crow pick here, actually. I feel like 1,000 could have a few troubles if that jump comes in to really defend it. Unlucky as well is tapping really, really nicely so, and forcing back Green Eyes and 1,000 there. Kuku's going to have to work a little bit hard to get that super, though. He's struggling a little bit to close the gap on the 1,000 on the Sprout there. It's actually a pretty decent push coming in from HHM.
Yeah, really nice barrage there from Lovebar as well, able to get that elimination with the 8-bit. Unlucky is pushing Lovebar back, but going to struggle to, because Lovebar can just hold a point so well as 8-bit with that extremely powerful barrage and with the damage turret backing him up as well. Unlucky, Gaki, Kugu are doing an okay job of holding the ball, but they are struggling a little bit health-wise. Actually, no, they're keeping healthy enough. I take that back.
Yeah, unlucky though, a bit unlucky on the mark. Didn't quite connect on the on Lovebird as he was retreating there. 8-bit there had no speed as well, so definitely feels like for me, you know, people are in a position which they didn't see themselves that much in Gem Grab, but still holding their own pretty well as a result of a lot of these connecting shots. But again, you know, Kuga on that right-hand side still struggling to gain that super, but I feel like when he gets it, he's going to be making it happen. This is a great opportunity now to get one. Actually, the mark is on 1,000. He's going to trickle down. Really nice way that Kuga then moved up the map to really assert his authority.
Wow, there we go. Yeah, that's 2 eliminations. Now Kugu is fighting against the Bell. Unfortunately for no people, the respawns have come in, but they do have a good position there. If Gaki can hold on to that left spot, and if Unlucky can hold on to the right, they are going to struggle, though, with one of their players missing. And 1,000 gets some very nice hits in as the Sprout there and does find an elimination. And the ball is heading back towards no people's goal.
Yes, it definitely feels like this is a better game mode so far for HHM. They've made some good brawler choices as well, and it seems like they seem to prefer a little bit of that more open space to long-ranged affairs. Gaki there, considering the turret goes for it now, but that's going to ricochet around, and the shot on the way back, yeah, from Green Eyes did connect really nicely. And if these 10 seconds go down and no people find themselves in this spot, this could be a great position for HHM going into overtime.
I would agree with you, but now look at what's happening, Ark. HHM are falling apart. That is all 3 brawlers eliminated, and that is a free goal for no people. Isn't it crazy how quickly things can change in a game of Brawl Ball, isn't it? Or a game of Brawl Stars in general. The amount of times I've been mid-sentence talking about how a team is in a great position, and by the end of that sentence, they've all been eliminated is unreal.
Yeah, yeah, it's as quickly as that. You know, it's a bit of a shame, really, for me, because that was a great spot for no people. Sorry, for HHM, they just had to keep that composure and keep the shots raining down because that was, at that moment there, honestly, could have gone either way. Ultimately, that same experience that we saw, you know, prior to this matchup in Gem Grab starting to show, and the perseverance there for me just goes to show that I feel like they just got that edge in terms of experience.
It does seem to be that way. They now find themselves on match point, and HHM need to pull something out of the bag in order to make a comeback here and show that they've got what it takes to get to the semifinals. Interesting that it was HHM using the Sprout this time. No people. It was Unlucky on the Sprout earlier, wasn't it, for no people? Unlucky was playing Bell this time up against the Sprout. Was able to just fine against it. It goes to show that you know, different brawlers, different levels of expertise. Doesn't matter as long as you pick the better comp and just strategize accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt like the Sprout pick, though, for me wasn't they were making it work, in all fairness. It's a great brawler to have for control.
There were some good sneaky eliminations with it. Like, we'll put it that way.
Yeah. But for me, I still prefer the Crow pick here. I feel like it's just got that additional maneuverability. If you can get into an aggressive position and really make a lot of those shots count, you know, slowing toxins are a great gadget to have as well for that slowdown, and can really be paired well against, you know, a teammate playing on the 8-bit. Ultimately, those shots can really start to rain down, as well as a Bell when you've got that slowdown in effect.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the next game is just starting right now. Pam, Bell, and Crow once again. This time HHM have actually switched the Bell out for a Piper after all. So we'll see how that works out for them. Green Eyes gonna need to be hitting some good shots here.
Yeah, but again, I do worry for him. On the defensive side, it could come back to haunt. Again, Lovebird needs to get his damage booster down. In these early stages, HHM really needs to stay on their feet and not concede any deaths.
No, and it is... the damage is pretty even between the teams, actually. Unlucky taking quite a bit from the 8-bit there. Kugu going to creep forward and poison 8-bit. It looks like 8-bit is... Or does 8-bit survive that? No, 8-bit survives that. Okay. Green Eyes also weak in the middle, but 1,000 pushing forwards once again on the Pam. A pretty common strategy from them. And it was working out until Gaki put up that healing turret.
Yeah, and then use that hasty retreats, and that's the thing. You know, aggression's great, but it's got to be controlled aggression also. And you know, Gaki seemed to be feeling, to me, despite being under pressure, a bit more composed. Lovebird now has that damage booster down the mark, placed there nicely from Unlucky. the cheat cartridge in effect, and that's the jump that I'm referring to as the crow pick, and it's able to spot those areas of weakness and really capitalize. As Kugu now goes for a little shot that may have gone in. Possibly it's a bit tight to call, but regardless, the pressure now we're starting to see onto HHM on this defense.
Yeah, Love Bar is going to go down as well. 1,000 is the only remaining member of the team. Green Eyes obviously spawning in, but it looks like No People are doing a very good job of keeping these new brawlers weak as Love Bar spawns and comes in. Crow with the jump. That is going to do so much work, and that looks like that is going to be the first goal for No People. HHM, rough spot.
Yeah, it is a rough place to be. We haven't really seen much promise from them so far in this particular series, and now, up against the real heat of it, one final chance. If Green gets the pass and breaks the mid, it could open up an opportunity here. Lovebird going super aggressive. This could be their chance. Gaki, though, is still hanging on. Unlucky coming back in, and they're going to get that ball clear. That was a bit of a wasted opportunity for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a little bit of potential here, but it's getting worse and worse for HHM every second. Green Eyes goes down 1,000. Or by themselves, dealing with 3 brawlers. It's not going to happen. No People take our second quarterfinal of the day.
Very comfortably so. I felt, honestly, it didn't really seem like, there was any chance for HHM to have a look in. Congratulations to No People. They made it look very easy.
They did. A few starts on the back foot during Gem Grab, but Brawl Ball was very, very consistent. Gem Grab, once they were able to get their strategy into effect, they were able to stabilize and win those games consistently as well. Yeah, good job to them. They will be competing against Nova in the semi-finals. Not necessarily the opponent you want, but that's what they're going to be up against later. Here are a couple of the highlights from this match. As you can see, No People very comfortable in the center there.
Yeah, and I think that was the place to place Sprout and to then drop it later on. They made the good decisions that they needed to have. They didn't play the brawlers that necessarily they were happiest playing. They just played what was better for that particular map and mode, and that's the way to go for me. I loved this aggression from Kugao, and I, again, was vouching for that idea before it happened. It's definitely the way to go. I'm surprised that we didn't see that adaptation away from the Sprout pick from HHM, in all honesty, considering that was the idea that No People were going with. It didn't seem like it was going to serve to much avail.
Nope. Well, there you go. That is going to be quarterfinal number 2. As I said, Nova got a bye in quarterfinal number 1. So we are going to be moving on to quarterfinal 3 in a second, which means, Ark, that's your first shift done. How you feeling? You tired? You need a break?
Yeah, I feel again like this is just aimed at me. I feel like you guys just want to get me out early, and I'm okay with that. My coffee's still warm, so
Ark is clearly quite exhausted. Everyone watching at home, like he just looks really. So we're gonna just have to take a few moments to set up the third quarterfinal. In the meantime, we've got a little word from our sponsors.
Whilst the mixers are being stirred, here are some tips that need to be heard. Pinkies up into the sky, use a coaster so your drink won't fly. Dogs and bears to be left at the door so our clients don't hear them roar. Cutlery goes from out to in, please do not eat from the bin. Remember, you're here to have a ball, so let's do our best not to brawl.
All right, Ark has gone for a nap. He was really, really tired. That one best out of 3 match really took it out of him, and he just needed some beauty sleep. So Teddy, I'm really glad to have you jumping in to cast the next couple of matches. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Really excited to be here as usual. And I think this is one of the matches we're going to be looking at today, especially because Trick of China, they can still maybe get some better seeding at the end of this season, and winning this first round would definitely help to that.
Well, we are very shortly going to hopefully have confirmation that Trick of China showed up today. And if they did, then they have locked in their place at the World Finals in Bucharest later this year. So I'm just awaiting. Can I get confirmation that Trick of China have shown up? I believe they have, Teddy. I think Trick of China have in fact shown up today. So that's fantastic. Congratulations. You've qualified for Worlds.
it's one way to do it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the players that are going to be competing in this third quarterfinal of the day. Trick of China up against VCT Return. We have got Goodnight, Imp, and White up against Nao, Green Tea, and Lin. Now, Trick of China have been considered one of the best teams in this region. Obviously, they're one of the two teams that have locked in their qualification, but realistically, one of the 3 teams that have locked in their qualification. What do you expect to see from them today?
You know, on paper, I feel like they should be the better team just from looking at their history, whether it's the 2 teams, next to each other or just Trick of China in general. They've been one of the staple teams here to represent the mainland China region, and they've been doing so pretty well. So, not quite at the level of Nova Esports just yet, but definitely getting closer and closer. So on paper, this should be a win for them, but we've seen over and over again that in Brawl Stars, on paper, doesn't always mean all that much.
No, absolutely not. Weird things can happen indeed. We're going to kick things off with Heist. I believe that it was Hot Zone and Gem Grab after that. So, three pretty standard. I mean, they're all standard game types this year. What am I saying? Like, there's nothing not standard. What am I expecting? Volley Brawl to come up, right? Let's take a look at the bans and see what's going on this match. We've got Crow, Sandy, Colt, and Brock. Wow, a Crow ban, Teddy. I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, well, actually, if you look very early in this year and even the end of last year, Crow was one of the most popular brawlers in the mainland China region. And it was also for a long time very exclusive to this region. It did get more mainstream afterwards, especially with some Crow buffs. But it's definitely interesting to see that even today it is considered to be, a bannable brawler. I think a Colt ban is also fairly interesting. We just don't see that every day. And I think for the most part, it's because you can, really destroy the safe zone map completely with Colt and Brock and VCT Return. I think that's their strategy, banning especially for that first set, because they know that realistically, it's not likely that, if they lose the first set, they have a good chance at winning this matchup. So focusing their resources early on to try to cause a bit of an upset and try to have some momentum going.
So what you're saying is VCT want to actually play the map as it was designed by the developers. They don't want to play the map as it will be designed by the other team, destroying everything and just, yeah.
That's very much it. And here we go. We are ready to start. And we already got quite a bit of an aggression and an early kill found for VCT, and that's definitely the start they were hoping for. Let's see if they can capitalize on that.
Yeah, pretty standard lineups here. We've got Colette, we've got Byron and Surge up against Spike, Amber, and Byron. Nothing crazy here. I'm glad to see that at least one team is repping the Colette. Always love to see that in Heist.
Yeah, what I think is very interesting as well is no Rico whatsoever here, which I feel like at this point has gotten really strong, but it could also be because those walls don't get destroyed, right? There's no destruction whatsoever on either teams, and that's very, very rare for Safe Zone. Usually you do have that Brock or a Colt to open things up, maybe even a Piper that can do so as well with her super. A nice 2-tap from White, gonna be picking up that kill onto Lin. So far, it's only an 8% lead in favor of VCT, but at least they're in the lead.
Yeah, I don't know if it means all that much, Teddy, as it does feel to me like Trick of China are making a really nice go at the enemy safe here. White is so close to getting some easy hits. They're just trying to find an opening. There we go. There's the opening. Super. And they are now ahead only by 2%. So not enough to be comfortable. But Lin goes down, and it really does look like the damage is going to start snowballing in now.
Yeah, the positioning is locked in here for Trick of China as their mid presence is still really strong. And so far, VCT have not really found any ways to respond just yet. A good kill from White. Should be close to his next super as well.
Yeah, we're just really seeing the power of Colette here. Look, constantly supering in. Gonna wait. I think White was trying to hit a brawler with that as well. Not quite able to. It just doesn't matter too much. Lin is gonna go down soon as well. And Trick of China are just going to keep consistently damaging the safe. Another super from the Colette. Look how weak they are. Look how weak VCT are.
It's really rough, Dan. Like, especially, White is just getting healed so much, and he goes down now, but look how long he stayed alive in the front line with 2 to 3 players from VCT focusing on him. Just really good healings from Goodnight, combining that with the shield from Colette while and right after she uses her super. That's a lot of value. You're very tanky. You're getting healed a lot. It's a really strong comp. And Trick of China, I mean, the damage from VCT was just not enough to take White down pretty much ever, besides once at the end of that game.
No, that was an incredibly solid win from Trick of China. And while it is true that VCT Return were able to get that first bit of damage, I don't feel like it matters all that much compared to Trick of China's strategy of, you know, getting into position, locking down your position, and then never losing your position again. It really did feel like Trick of China had that in the bag.
Yeah, I think the setup was just much, much better. Once things were set up, it was a lot stronger from Trick of China, because sure, they had an early push VCT, but they barely managed to capitalize on it, right? Like 8% damage, that's really nothing. And although it can make the difference in the end, if you can't capitalize more of your pushes, and especially if you can't retake that mid area, you're going to be done. Because even if you were to get an even amount of kills, if you are in defense, you're still taking damage on your safe instead of dealing it to your opponent's safe.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much strategy that has to go into Heist, and there's actually a lot that you need to think about, because it's not just about dealing with the enemy brawlers, it's not just about dealing with the enemy safe. You've got to find the right balance, and you've got to find the right composition and the right position to do that. And that's where Trick of China were really able to shine, with the Surge on the right side, with the Colette in the mid in particular, just dealing so much damage and Byron backing them up. Like, it just... in that position, it seemed unwinnable for VCT Return. They weren't able to get into the middle of the map without taking stupid amounts of damage. Either way, that is game 1 over and done with. We'll have to see if VCT Return are going to mix things up for game 2, or just try the same thing again. What do you think, Teddy?
I'm not entirely sure, and that's the really interesting thing about this first game, is that it was both conventional brawlers, but so unconventional for that map, because you always end up having something like Brock, or Colt on one side, Recon the other, and then mid you have a little bit more versatility, but still pretty close choices, you know. And unless you go for a really wild strat, bringing in a Max and a BB or something along those lines, you really rarely see those brawlers being played here in high. So I'm not entirely sure what sort of counters they have in mind, because it's just very unusual. And honestly, that's a smart move from VCT. The problem is now it's kind of against them.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. And that's the thing with bans in the Brawl Stars Championship, because it works for both sides. Your bans can actually backfire if they're not very specifically targeted, or very specifically, you know, like done to respect other team's strengths. Can be a problem. But here we go. We got Surge, Bell, and Leon this time from VCT Return up against Colette, Byron, and Sprout. So slightly different lineups, but no crazy changes from Trick of China.
Yeah, they do bring in the Sprout, which is an interesting decision. I mean, honestly, throwers are going to be decent once the map, you know, can't get destroyed by those Brocks and Colts, since they are banned. But the Surge could be a little scary. Not going to decide to play it against him, though. So an interesting decision from VCT, which I think could have been a little better, as a good TP from a Surge onto a Sprout's face is definitely a problematic situation. However, he does get that kill onto White. Stage 2 is reach, and although he goes down, at least he gets to keep it, which really goes a long way, because that movement speed is what gets you in range of your opponents.
Well, there you have it. Trick of China almost have their position once more. White able to get that first super into the enemy safe. And look, VCT Return are just sort of scrambling near the safe, taking so much damage from Sprout's projectiles. Nao is going to dash forward to try and deal with the Sprout, but after using the teleport, Sprout puts up the wall and just stops him in his tracks. This is a disaster for VCT.
I love how he had time to pick up that wall and just place it again in a better position, and that's just really, really good reaction time and good thinking. Yeah. And you could see as well that it was planned, right? That he knew that if there was a push, he was just absolutely ready to deal with it. We do see Nao slowly popping off on the right-hand side, going to be at stage 4. The problem is, VCT, they do need some damage on that safe, and although the setup is looking better, they do lose 2 players, and yeah, it's right back to square 1. Only Neo left alive, almost goes down as well, and a strong push once more coming in for Trick of China.
Nao's like, I was doing so well, what happened to my teammates? Oh, Nao got walled in and actually got 2 eliminations there. Lin dashing forwards is almost going to deal with the Byron, but Byron able to use that super to heal himself just in time. Is still going to go down later on, but this could be VCT Return's opportunity. They need to deal, what's that, 30% damage in 17 seconds. They've got a chance, but Nao falls. Green Tea misses that first shot. And I don't think they're quite going to get the damage in. No, they're not. They are 13% short. They've been pushed away. And it looks, Teddy, like Trick of China are going to take Heist.
Yeah, so far things going pretty much as we planned, right? Trick of China coming in as a favorite here, so far showing why. I feel bad for Neo, man. I feel like he had such a great game here, but just couldn't really work out with the team. And that's stuff that happens as well, for sure. But, you know, showing some signs of life, at least in the second game. I feel like in the first one, VC was very quiet here. We hear them a little bit more, and hopefully that sets things up for an exciting set too.
Towards the end of the second game, they showed some signs of life, but it was sort of too little too late, wasn't it? And here are some of the highlights, the best moments from those matches. We see in game one, White just really able to pop off and get more and more damage on the enemy safe, staying alive, using that shield, using Goodnight's healing, just to get so much work done, backed up by the Byron behind and Imp on the right, just dealing little bits of splash damage that, while wasn't that extreme, it didn't go unnoticed.
No, definitely so, and the only push they had was just really early on for VCT, and they barely even got any damage from it. So yeah, so far it's been a bit of a struggle for them on the retake side of things. We'll see how set 2 is gonna go for them. Stats wise, that was pretty close, I would say, between Imp and Lin. Actually, Imp having overall just better stats, but it is a team game, and if your team does better, well, you're gonna take the win no matter how good one individual might be playing. So good stuff from Trick of China. So far, I would say superior in both picks and execution, especially considering, you know, the crazy bans that were for Safe Zone. I think they dealt with it really, really well, and I'm a little bit scared now for VCT on Ring of Fire.
Yeah, Ring of Fire is certainly a do or die sort of map. One hot zone, all of the brawlers competing to battle out inside and out. This should be interesting, and it really is going to be a case of VCT showing what they've got if they want to stand up to Trick of China.
Yeah, they're going to have to show a lot more than in Heist. And once again, that's what worries me a little bit, right? Because they ban Brock and Colt, which are very much for Safe Zone. And Brock is also playable in Ring of Fire, don't get me wrong. But it still felt like, you know, they had most of their cards in hand for Heist. We'll have to see here in Hot Zone if they're still able to come up with something. We do have some fairly standard stuff. The Tara, for me, is the most interesting pick on that left-hand side. We'll see how that can work out against the Rico, but overall I would say a fairly even matchup.
Yeah, and so far we're seeing that as no brawlers really have pushed forwards. White was able to get a nice elimination on Lin there, taking out the Byron, and now Imp is pushing really aggressively with those shades. Goodnight able to grab control of the center. The question is, how long can Goodnight hold it for? At the moment, it's looking really good. If this VCT return are falling apart.
Yeah, I haven't even stepped in the zone yet. Trick of China getting close enough to the 50% threshold. Green Tea trying to deal with Imp still. That has been quite a nuisance on the left-hand side. And now finally VCT have some sort of control, but Lin took a lot of damage in the process, forced to use a super, still low HP, goes down to Imp. And Trick of China, honestly, in a really, really sweet spot.
Nio is able to do something, you know, pushing forwards as the Rico. Only 56 health, though, could really do with popping. Presumably, he has the bouncy castle to heal back up. But what is going on? That was weird. Nio just didn't heal there. Didn't wait. Didn't just fired some random projectiles that obviously presented healing and didn't hit anything. I'm just a little confused by that play.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. What I am sure of is that Trick of China are going to be getting that first game of Hot Zone. And I think it was even more convincing than Heist, to be fair. And, you know, that's, again, I do really like that strategy from VCT to invest a lot of their resources into that first set. But when it doesn't pay off, that's where you start to be in real trouble, because obviously Ring of Fire doesn't go quite as well with those bans.
Yeah, I agree that was extremely convincing. It was just the speed at which Trick of China were able to get control of the center and then just sort of not let go. They were able to not only get a full team wipe, they were able to lock down the top of the map. You know, camping in the bush near their spawn is very problematic for the other team. And now Trick of China find themselves on a match point, and VCT return have got so much work to do if they want to make a comeback from this. Do you think it's even possible here, Teddy?
Honestly, I wouldn't bet on it. I really wouldn't bet on it. I think it's possible, but I still feel like so far we haven't seen the signs of life that we needed for VCT to, show me hope for this matchup. I feel like Trick of China should be able to close it out here in Game 4.
Yeah, it seems pretty likely. Based on what we've seen so far today, it does seem as though, the skill gap between these players is certainly there. VCT Return have just got a little bit more work to do amongst themselves before they can get to the same, just quite to the same level as Trick of China. But don't count them out until it is over. It's best out of 3, so a comeback, while tough, it's only a case of them winning a couple games in this set and then a couple games in the next set, and that would be it. They'd win. So we'll have to see how this goes. VCT may need to switch up their lineup a bit after that one. It's difficult to know what to do, though, to stand up against Trick of China.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird combo as well, especially the tower is just something I'm not really used to see on Ring of Fire. And considering we saw the stats earlier and the tower got 45% damage, that's a whole lot of damage, especially with a tower that doesn't necessarily have quite as much range as any of the brawlers from VCT. VCT bringing in the Mortis. We'll see how that works out. Not the easiest to play against Cetera either. Could be a worse matchup. We'll see as he pushes forward. Does get melted down by Goodnight White to secure the kill, and that's already the man advantage and control for Trick of China early on.
Yeah, I mean, Goodnight once again just standing in the middle. Oh, Lin goes down. Green Tea is doing what he can to dodge everything, but it's hard to dodge a shade, a suitcase, and a projectile from Bell all at the same time. Imp is going to fall thanks to the Rico backing up Lin with that. I think there was a super there. This could be VCT Return's opportunity. Yeah, Goodnight is going to fall back, accept defeat for now, and allow VCT Return to start getting some points.
Yeah, thing is, when you're leading by 40% already, plus you already have a set and a game in the bag, you're okay with giving them a little extra space or time, to get a nice setup going. And Trick of China, they're just running away with this one. Just like each game we've seen so far, 80% already reached, and VCT Return, this is their final chance. And honestly, it's going to be really tough to make anything happen at this point.
Yeah, I mean, even when I said that Trick of China were backing off and letting VCT Return get some points, by the time I finished that sentence, again, things had switched. I think, do you know what, Teddy? I need to use shorter sentences when casting Brawl Stars. That's it. Either way, Trick of China are going to take the third quarterfinal match of the day, which means we only have one left. Trick of China will be will be matched up against the winners of the next quarterfinal. After that one's over and done with, the VCT Return are going to have to head on home, lick their wounds, and hopefully come back stronger next month.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? And that's how those monthly finals are going to be for most of the teams. There's only one that wins it. The other ones, they got to make the most out of it. And when you face a team like Trick of China, you definitely get to learn a lot and, improve your craft.
Let's take a look once again at the replays for that match. And again, just Trick of China, honestly, Teddy, they dominated this quarterfinals match. Looking at the first game of the day, how Surge was on the right, Colette was in the middle. They'd set things up so nicely. Then game 2, yeah, there was a push from VCT Return at the end, but it just wasn't enough damage. 20% is not going to cut it against VCT Return. Then moving on to Hot Zone. Well, Hot Zone, or should I say Trick of China's zone, as they never actually left it.
Yeah, they really didn't. How much did VCT get in total? Maybe like 30%?
Across the two games?
Even, I think 23%, something along those lines. Just really not a lot. And that's quite worrying. And something that worried me a little bit, and one of the mistakes I picked up the most from VCT, was facing that Bell. They did tend to just stay really close together and let those shots bounce for what seemed to be forever. That's just a lot of value for each Bell shot. Yeah.
Honestly, Bell has actually been very, very dominant today in general. I have been surprised every single time Bell hasn't been banned, because Bell just seems to be everywhere doing all of the things all at the same time. She's a very powerful brawler and a force to be reckoned with. But we move on, Teddy, to quarterfinal 4. It is TIG Origin versus TKE. And once again, if TIG Origin show up today, just if they show up, they will be locking in their spot for the World Finals in Bucharest. So it's time for me to find out. Our wonderful production team have TIG Origin. Have they shown up? They're here? They're ready. They're ready to play. They're here, Teddy. Congratulations, TIG Origin. You have qualified for Worlds in Bucharest. That's amazing.
Yeah, yet another team making it all the way to Worlds. And honestly, I mean, at this point, like, imagine not showing up when you literally just need to show up to qualify. I feel like that would be just absurd. But they did show up. We'll see them at Worlds. But first, we'll see them against TKE today, facing Secret, XY, and LGK. The roster for TIG is Archery, Plusha, and Jason.
Yeah, TIG Origin, obviously a dominant team. They've qualified for Worlds. That just shows how strong they are. TKE, though, well, I think they were the next team down. Unfortunately, now narrowly missing out on their spot for Worlds. They will be out for blood today. Let's see if they can get it. We're going to kick things off with Brawl Ball on Triple Dribble before moving on to some Siege on some Assembly Required, and maybe a little bit of Bounty later. But starting things off with Brawl Ball once more. What do you expect to see on this map, Teddy?
I'm honestly not entirely sure. I feel like Trollers do pretty well, especially Barley in that mid area. You have a little bit more freedom for the rest of the map. B used to be a staple of that left side, because funnily enough, this is one of the few maps that is not really symmetrical, at least not from the left and right side, right? There's one side where you have a long line of walls, the other one has some squares. So pretty different gameplay in the end, and it does mean that you need to make sure that if you don't spawn the closest way, you have to move all the way around and get to your respective lane. And we'll see Bell and Buzzband here for TIG, Mortis and Sandy for TKE. I think fairly decent bans here. I do feel like some brawlers like Brock, for example, and Stu really escaped the ban process here.
Yeah, good bans, very different bans from what we've seen so far today. Bell, Mortis, and Buzz in particular, I don't believe we've seen any of those brawlers, but I don't even think we've seen Sandy ban today, actually. Mortis in particular is one I'm a little surprised by. We were talking last week in the EMEA broadcast about how Mortis just seems to be in a really good spot at the moment, but why in particular do you think Mortis was banned here?
I'm not entirely sure if it's like a properly like targeted ban, as overall it is a really strong brawler, and I think we can expect it to get banned more and more, at least if it stays at, you know, the strength that it has right now. So I'm not entirely sure, Dan. I feel like overall, even if it's not a targeted ban, it's still a strong ban, as Mortis can literally 1v3 teams if it's played correctly. And at this level of play, especially in a team like TIG Origin, I would expect Mortis to be played correctly.
All right, everyone watching at home, I have got a surprise for you. If you've been watching these tournaments over the last few months, you should know what's coming. If you type #Rico64 and your in-game player tag from your player profile in the chat in the next 10 minutes, you will be entered for a chance to win one of 15 Guard Rico skins. Only one tag will be counted per viewer, so only write it once and make it count. There will be 15 lucky winners. You will all be individually notified in-game within a week if you are one of those winners. Again, that is #Rico64 and your player tag in the chat. Good luck. Guard Rico is a very cool skin.
Yeah, we've seen a ton of you guys actually on social media posting about winning some of those giveaways, so make sure you guys shoot your shot. Even if the odds aren't extremely likely, because there's a lot of people watching, you can still go in with a free skin, and honestly, what a skin as well.
Yeah. I mean, all of the skins that we've been giving away during the Brawl Stars Monthly Finals have been very, very cool. And I just think it's awesome that we're able to share those with you. Anyways, here we go. Game number 1. We have got Stu, Tara, and Barley up against Byron, Tick, and BB. 6 unique brawlers. Always love to point that out because it doesn't happen very often. But wow, XY! What? I just...
too fast. He was just too fast here for TIG.
I was watching Jason eliminating all of XY's teammates, but it just didn't matter. XY didn't need any teammates.
Yeah, I guess Jason didn't kill all of them. Left one alive, and he was able to seek revenge for his lost teammates. And XY looking to go aggressive once more. Maybe not in the best spot this time around. But they will take a box away with him. And we do have a push coming through for TKE, but a little bit too much chaos here. XY does end up going down, and this is looking like a team wipe.
Yeah, it's looking like a good team. In fact, that looked like it could have been an opportunity to score. Maybe I'm underestimating how quickly the spawns were coming in, but either way, XY goes down again. This could be TIG's opportunity if they can get the timing right on these eliminations. A kick in the... Whoa, what? LGK could have saved that.
I think he could have. Maybe he got juked. Maybe he was focusing on where he was aiming rather than protecting the ball. But a goal is a goal. TIG going to be happy about that one. As XY is still quite aggressive. Does get punished for it by Plusha and
Feels
Arshvi.
like XY is not going to get away with that one again. That feels like a bit of a trick that that TIG Origin have now cottoned onto. Arshvi, though, it has got a lot on his plate and is going to fall to 3 brawlers and the Tick Super all attacking at once. And now XY is going to actually go ahead and walk in again. TKE. I said they might be out for bloods. They are going to take game 1 of Brawl Ball.
Yeah, wow. I'm really impressed, to be fair. I feel like BB as well is probably that we see a little bit more at the moment, but still, I wouldn't call it a meta brawler, you know? And able to pull it off really nicely, make the most out of it, and get some nice plays just like this one.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm just a bit overwhelmed by that. I mean, we saw a good goal. Yeah, yeah, okay. LGK definitely could have saved that.
I thought he picked up the ball.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? It looked like, yeah. So a little mistake from them, but overall, fantastic play. And again, very impressed by XY on the BB there. Just finding the right opportunities to push forwards and really making it count.
Yeah, certainly getting a lot of value of those plays. I do feel like overall, I don't know. I still feel like somehow TIG were playing a little bit better, but at the same time, you know, the BB was able to find 2 goals for the other side, and TKE, they definitely capitalized off any mistakes that TIG had in their placements, and they found 2 goals, so that's enough to secure a game. GG's well played. We'll see how TIG adapt coming into game number 2.
Yeah, we will indeed. TKE would be considered the underdog in this matchup again. TIG Origin have qualified for World Finals in a couple months. So, you know, that is the creme de la creme of competition that they are getting ready for. TKE have not qualified, but they are certainly giving TIG a run for their money. That being said, look at this start. TKE trapped back against the goal.
Yeah, already a lot of aggression from TIG early on. Jason has a super as well. Is going to be pushing forward, looking for an opportunity to score. Not quite going to be happening just yet, though. But that tick head is going to get dealt with quite quickly. Jason staying alive as well in the process, and so far a lot of aggression from TIG.
Let's be real, Teddy. Stu always has a super available. I mean, come on, like,
yes.
When does Stu ever not have a super available? Right now, actually, Jason doesn't have a super and is kind of struggling because of it.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you look at the mirror matchup fight against the enemies too, right? If he has a super, it's really, really hard to engage.
Yeah.
But Jason not too scared, especially with a nice HP advantage. However, we'll have to be a little bit more careful now. XY, I'm not sure if that was the best use of a super, giving it away just like that. But the most value, especially as Jason has it right after now. Not using his gadget either to try to break open a wall. We'll do so now, but still no kills here. As we enter a bit of a stalemate, but Secret is going to be falling now to Arshvi. And this should be opening things up a bit more for TIG.
Yeah, they seem to be starting to make a comeback. XY a little low on health on the right there. Is managing to stay alive. LGK the same thing, shooting the head back just to try and distract Arshvi for a little bit. Wow, it actually hit Arshvi. I am really surprised that head made it that far.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with an EMS, it can be a little bit difficult to deal with those tick heads. It goes really fast, and look at that. Wow. It goes through again.
Yeah, a mistimed gadget from Arshvi as well, also used up. That is a problem for TIG Origin, a waste. And XY is going to get the first goal in again. TKE are just looking stronger for this Brawl Ball set.
Yeah, and I feel like this time around, we even have a little bit more of a team effort to find this goal. There is still a chance here as TIG is pushing forward. Jason looking. Oh my god, wow. He's going to get it in.
Okay, that was amazing. That was a really cool goal. And we are going to head into overtime. Jason, super ready, dashes towards the ball. That's the super kick. Is that going in? No, it stops on the line. Oh my gosh.
Wow, that is really unfortunate, especially with XY that has a super now. Not going to use it for a charge shot. Jason, though, looking to dash out of that pool. But look at that. Yeah, that is 100% going in. And that means that TKE, they do end up taking that first set.
You know what, Teddy? We have got a match in our hands. I can feel it. That game was really close.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a best of 3, right? This is already half of the way towards the semifinals, towards beating TIG Origin, and that would be really impressive for TKE, especially considering that, you know, next year, maybe if they have a better start of the year, they have a solid shot at making it all the way to Worlds.
Yeah, I'm calling it now. This match is going all the way to set 3. We're going to see some bounty in a little while after TIG wins Siege. Okay, that's my prediction.
All right. I do want to point out as well that XY found 3 or 4 goals in total in this match, and considering it's a 2-0 victory, that means he pretty much got every single goal. I'm not sure if he got the final one, but he did definitely get the 3 goals before that. Yeah, I think the final one was scored by his teammate, but still close enough. You know,
that was a team
technically,
effort.
If you look at it, he was so close to the ball when it hit the net. So I'd still count it as a goal from XY.
I think very sad from Jason, who was so close to getting that second goal that just stopped on the line. If he was able to just take one more little baby step forwards before super kicking the ball, but sometimes you don't have the time to make that decision. You don't have the time to take one more step forward. You know, you're about to get eliminated. It's shoot or don't shoot, and obviously he took the shot and it wasn't quite good enough. It is going to be Siege on some assembly required up next. You know I love a little bit of Siege, Teddy. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, likewise. It's been it feels like forever since I've casted Siege, to be completely honest with you. Not sure why, but I'm excited to get back to it. Some assembly required. Lovely map for this as well. Does favor a little bit more tankiness in general, just because there's a lot of cover, which means that you can navigate through the map and close the gap, get up close and use those close range brawlers really well. You can also just destroy the map. We've seen that done so many times before as well. Or use some throwers that can find a lot of value. And that's the interesting thing with Brawl Stars, is that the fact that, for example, throwers are strong here does also mean that tanks and something like a Mortis is also going to be strong, you know, to counter it. Mortis is banned, but you guys get the gist of it.
Yes. And do you know what? I was wondering if Mortis might be banned because of Siege. We've seen so many Siege Mortises recently. You know, it's not a meme anymore, Teddy. Like, Mortis is strong on Siege, and I did wonder if that could be a reason that we saw Mortis gotten rid of here. Either way, I'm excited to see what we are left with. The meta on some assembly required has changed so drastically over time. I remember a time where Jackie was really, really prevalent on this map just because of how the walls are laid out and how Jackie can attack through them. You know, like you said, throwers are often very, very good on this one. But we are going to be left with Stu, Barley, and Carl. Okay, up against BB, Tick, and Frank. Very interesting. Before we go any further, I just want to announce the raffle ends in 1 minute. So don't forget, that is #Rico64 and your player tag in the chat if you want a shot to win. But here we go. Teddy, what do you think of these compositions?
I think Carl is just a big question mark for me overall. I just don't really see why, but things could be a lot worse right now for TIG, especially considering they do get the buff and they only had 1 bolt leak. They're going to find some decent value. I think that Barley Super does not connect with the save, which is a little bit of lost value, but still decent damage.
Barley was able to keep Secret and LGK so weak, and Secret still hasn't recovered the health. And is struggling to. He's going to just go in and bash those walls down. Jason falls, Secret falls, and TKE are just really struggling to maintain their health totals at the moment. XY is going to dash around the map, but is going to fall as well.
Yeah, good stuff from Archery, is able to get those bolts, and therefore the bot TKE, they didn't get a single bolt in this preparation phase. That's just really, really tough. They only have the one they got from the first round. That's not a lot of bolts, and TIG with a 3-bolt lead and the push here, this is an excellent situation in their hands.
Raffle is now over. Everyone watching, the chat can now return to normal. Please, no more typing. We will help you. As nothing is going to help TKE either win that game of Siege. TIG Origin take the first one down. And that was that was pretty flawless. That you said the Carl was a question mark, but it certainly seemed to work out better than the Frank did. Frank was able to get some good hits in early with that early super, demolishing the battlefield. But once the battlefield was demolished, it opens up so much that Frank kind of struggles a little bit.
I honestly feel then that the Carl did not have the most impact. It did get a lot of bolts, to be fair.
It's pretty impactful.
But you know, regarding the fights and control, I didn't feel like it was the most impactful. I did feel like Tick was holding TKE back a little bit, not because it was played wrong, but just because overall, if you compare Barley to Tick, for example, Barley is just a lot more dynamic, right? You can have a lot more versatility, find at closer ranges. It's a lot easier to hit your shots as well close up. I feel like Tick is just a little less overwhelming in a way. And overall, yeah, TIG was, in my opinion, besides for the interesting Carl, a pretty decent comp and a much better execution.
Yeah, well, either way, Teddy, whether or not we like the Carl, it certainly just seems to do something. There were some well-timed supers there as well. Obviously, Flying Hook does help Carl get bolts in a similar way to how Mortis's attack helps Mortis get the bolts, which is just another sort of, I guess, a little side bonus to running the Carl. Not like a pure reason you'd want to run Carl, but you know, it certainly does help out in Siege a little bit. Either way, TKE, who won Brawl Ball, are now on the back foot in Siege. We could be going to set 3 sooner than we expected. Game 2 of Siege starts right
now. Wow, we are so on timing. That's impressive.
Stu Barley and Carl again up against Tara, Stu, and Tick, this time from TKE. I definitely think I prefer this composition to the one that they brought before.
Yeah, I definitely do so as well. Jason does end up going down after being chased for what seemed to be forever by that Tick head. In the end, it is a bot for TIG, and once again, TKE, they are able to secure just a single bolt. It's not the end of the world, but they will definitely need to find more value of that second round. Otherwise, it might be the same exact result, and that was in favor of TIG the first time.
Plus, Gia is able to get a lot of damage on that Ike as well. Look at this. 33% remaining already from the first Siege bot. Plus, Gia as the Barley was able to deal so much damage, and TKE's Brawlers just weren't able to do anything about that. Secret did what they can, but it just wasn't going to be enough. Teddy, TIG Origin are dominating Siege.
Yeah, I think Siege is just a lot more comfortable on there, and the word Brawl Ball was really a fight. Here so far, it's been just extremely convincing on the side of TIG, and I don't think they have a crazy good comp for defense either, so this could be a quick affair, and this bot might be the final one we see for this match.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't see how TKE are going to stop this. And TIG Origin take set 2, and my prediction, Teddy, has come true. We are going all the way to Bounty for this final quarterfinal match, and it seems like while TKE were out for blood at first, TIG have said, you know what, actually no, we are the finals contenders, and we are going to get to the quarterfinals today as well.
Yeah, well, certainly in a good way there. Going to set number 3, that was Bounty, I believe, with quite a bit of momentum as well, right? 2 games in a row now for TIG, building up some more confidence, getting comfortable, and honestly, we saw the results in that previous game.
It's very difficult to put into words what just happened in Siege, apart from, unless I'm using words like demolished, or destroyed, or dominated, all of the D's really, Teddy, as TIG Origin just went to show they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even, you know, into numbers, it's really hard to really say a lot about this. Just very dominant from TIG overall. We'll see what Bounty has in store for us. Shooting Star is going to be the map here as well. Usually one of those maps where you do tend to see pretty much the same brawlers every time. We're looking at Nani, we're looking at Piper or Bell, and then we're looking most likely at something like a Tick for the mid area. So not the map where you see the most upsets, because usually you can't really surprise your opponents too much with some crazy comps, because the comp that is the standard comp here is just so versatile and so well equipped to dealing with a lot of different situations.
Yeah, well, here we go. it is going to be Bounty on Shooting Star. Also, another thing I should mention about Shooting Star is it is one of the slowest paced, I feel like, matches that we have in Brawl Stars. One of the slowest paced maps because it tends to be lots of long range combat. You know, compare it to Canal Grande or Canal Grande. Sorry, Ark. Sorry, Frank. Where there's lots of pushing going on. There's lots of fights in the middle. There's lots of pushing the enemy spawn. Shooting Star really is a lot of sitting back on your side of the map and just sniping as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, in general, in Brawl Stars, you have an advantage at defending. And that obviously means that on an open map, you're not going to be overextending too much because you don't want to end up going down and you want to play around your max range and the max range of your opponent's homemade recipe does go true. And that's going to be a kill from Jason early on. Looking to make it a second. He's going to miss a couple of shots, but does get it. Ultimately, is able to jump back to safety. And now we do have that peep going true. Should not result in any kills. Never mind. Return to standard. Goes both ways, and it does end up being another kill for TKE, putting them 2 stars behind for now, right behind TIG.
Yeah, a good start indeed. TIG just need to kind of keep control of the center so that TKE can't move forwards and dominate them. And they just need to keep hold of their stars, obviously, which they have failed to do. As a nice little snipe on the Piper there is going to actually put TKE in the lead. Ashri goes down as well. And now TIG have got some work to do.
Yeah, they definitely do. A good kill from Jason on the left-hand side. So far, he's been having a pretty good game, I would say. And that's going to be giving the lead straight back to TIG. But you have to be careful because, yeah, it's going to connect. But Pusha just barely survives. A little bit lucky there. But Jason finds LGK, widens up the lead a little further in favor of TIG. And TKE, they only have 20 seconds to work with.
All right, well, TKE are going to have to move forward through all of this firepower that is being thrown at them. One way or another, they need to try and get the stars. XY is dodging everything that they can. Jason, so weak on the left. Moving forward to dodge the tick fire. Beautifully done. TIG Origin find themselves on match point. I love that in the bottom left corner. Jason backed into a corner. The only way out is to move towards the enemy. Really cool to see.
I don't know how he survived, Dan. Not gonna lie, I feel like he should have gone down 10 times out of 10, but somehow he stayed alive. I mean, we might see it in the replay, but he literally survived with the Piper super close to him as well, and he was so low HP. Just unfortunate that TK couldn't make that happen, but TIG, they are going to be the ones to secure the first match point of this match.
Yep, definitely looking strong now. TKE were able to really pull it out of the bag for Brawl Ball, but are they a one-trick pony? Oh, if only I could make that line on Trick of China.
That would have been
much cooler. I have to write that down for you know, next month or Worlds. You know, I'll write down like Trick of China, one-trick pony. Can I squeeze that into a cast somewhere?
Maybe. It would actually have been even more epic if you said that about One Trick Pony, which was the team that Big Clan used to be before they joined Big. I think that would have been the best setup, but
well, that's no good now.
Trick of China.
I've missed that opportunity for good. Oh,
well. Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, well. You know, you learn these lessons the hard way sometimes. Either way, TKE are learning the hard way that maybe, just maybe, TIG Origin did deserve their spot at Worlds a little bit more than they did. They're going to still try and fight back. Very different composition. What is this? Leon, Max, and Poco. Wow, this is so much more aggressive. What the heck?
Yeah, they're going to be relying a lot on that Max Super, I think, to get close. Secret going to be tanking that rocket fuel from Pusha. I do like that approach. Oh, so much value of that rocket fuel, but so far everyone stays alive. Finally, Jason gets a kill, but he's so low HP himself. Goes down to LGK. That's going to be a 4-star lead for TKE. If they can lock LGK in that position, they might be able to be just a star behind, but Archery gets pinched himself, and that means 3 stars in favor of TKE for now.
Yeah, I mean, just look at this aggressive play. They're literally just camping in the enemy spot, and it's working. Plus, Gia goes down. Jason goes down. What is happening, Teddy?
I mean, I think maybe the respawns, you know, you don't spawn with quite as much ammo as you used to. That could go a long way in helping TKE getting that spawn kill position up. But right now, they do have some more mid control here on TIG. 5-star difference is a pretty big difference, but not impossible to deal with.
It's now only a 3-star difference. It's now only a 1-star difference. As this is where TKE's compositional weakness is really starting to show. They can't do the long-range fight. Secret is pushing forward, but Secret's holding 5 stars. That in itself is a risk. Secret goes down. And now, TIG Origin are so far ahead. TKE need one more epic push in order for this to work. But how do they even get close enough?
Yeah, well, XY certainly won't. Secret and LGK, all hopes on them. Secret goes down. It's only LGK gets the 1 kill.
There's no way, is there?
Yeah, there's a 7-star difference now. It's just not gonna happen. And TIG Origin will be going all the way to the semifinals, if not further, by getting this victory against TKE.
Yep, that was a really epic quarterfinals match. I really loved that TKE came out swinging for that first set, taking down Brawl Ball and taking it down, you know, solidly as well. But ultimately, it wasn't good enough. As TIG were able to dominate in Siege and do a pretty good job in Bounty as well. I also really liked seeing that very different shooting star strategy there, Teddy. Did you think there was any merit to that?
I think there were some decent ideas. I'm not sure if Leon was maybe the best pick in this situation. I think it's a good brawler, don't get me wrong, but I feel like something else maybe could have gone a longer way, either getting another healer in the mix or something a little bit more tanky perhaps. Not entirely sure, but it was a good idea. It's something we've seen a lot on Save Zone on Heist being played, so the Max and the Poco, and then usually with a BB, but other tanks can work out really fine too. So it was an interesting decision to bring it in. I think they had some good chances to make it work, just wasn't quite enough, and I think TIG played around it really smartly, able to utilize that range at the full extent and just keep them at bay as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, just like once we were sort of the second half of that last game, there was just nothing that the close range brawlers could do against the range, given how open Shooting Star is. But either way, there you go, guys. That is your 4 semi-finalist teams all set up, and we're looking at a very good semi-finals today. I think Nova Esports versus No People will be the first match coming up in the semifinals. But there you go. That, Teddy, is the quarterfinals out of the way. And as we get prepped for the semifinals, we are going to take a moment to highlight one of the top teams in mainland China. They are currently second in points and have just secured their world finals spot today. Let's take a moment to learn a little bit more about Trick of China. Brawler in the way. It's gonna super kick the ball.
That's what they're gonna do.
Whoa, the trick shot. What?
Oh, the follow-up from beautiful follow-up. But there's the return left-hand side from White. A fantastic.
Oh, there you go.
Turn around.
Hello everyone. I'm Good Night from the Trick of China. Now I live in Hangzhou.
大家好，我是 Imp， 就是我来自成都。
我的 ID 是 Aurora， 然后我来自中国大陆福建福州。
I start play the game in university in UK. One day, I met my current teammate White in Europe service. White he live in Italy with his parents, and he going high school. He let me join the Trick of China club, and I learned a lot. Because COVID, I had to go back to China. White also returned to China, same reasons. But it's no Trick of China in China. I make the Trick of China in China. And I start with the White, find Imp and Aurora, play with us.
Good Night， 他是一个边路比较 C 的一个人，然后一个选手。Good Night 是一个边路比较 C 的一个选手，然后打中路的话会非常的稳健。然后也能帮助我们解决到很多的问题。
Imp is a consistent player. and he do not many mistake. He's good.
White 他是一个他是偏向于打边路嘛，他打边路的话也是非常的稳健，然后很多时刻都能站出来。如果他打中路的话，他打中路可能就相比于戈奈来说会更稍微激进一点。Aurora 他是一个偏向于射手类的英雄，打的都非常的准。然后总体来说也非常的稳健，边路、中路都是稳健型的。
I think Mortis is that the only problem that we've seen? We've seen the Pam already on this map, but look at how Trick of China are just trying to push their way through and Quick out of position now. If to follow up, my goodness, what was that?
我们队伍今年的每个月月赛都进了决赛。然后拿了3次亚军，然后最差的成绩也只是4强。我们虽然是今年刚起步的一支队伍，但是我们非常的努力，也有信心，继续稳步前进，取得到这次世界赛的资格。
For first 4 months, we don't have enough time for training because only part-time job for us. And Nova Esports is a very good team. But after 3 months, I think we will hard work, more training. The goal is to join the Brawl Stars Championship, and we will very happy for that.
Gino is going to be very low HP, doesn't quite go down. Engine gets pulled with 7 gems. Can he pull out of that situation? Doesn't seem like he will. Gino is so low HP as well. Kurt trying to go for the gems, but this is huge as we already almost see a countdown for Trick of China.
就是我们Trick of China 就是代表了本次中国出战世界赛嘛，然后我们既然是代表中国出战，我们就会拼尽自己的全力，然后我们也希望就是在中国来说这款荒野乱斗就是能够有更多的那个比赛方面的人能参与到其中来，然后在国内形成一个竞争力，这样的话这个游戏在国内也会走得越来越好。
我想赢，因为这对于每个玩家来说都是一种至高的荣誉。不管最后的结局是怎么样的，我们都会努力，不留遗憾。
Trick of China, lose your grandpa.
Welcome back, everybody watching at home, and yeah, we are now cracking on with the semi-finals. Very exciting quarter-final stages, but plenty more action to come. Teddy, how did you find it, and what matches are you looking forward to most in the semi-finals?
I mean, I think we just had quite an amazing match just before going all the way to set 3. I think this one is a pretty interesting one as well, especially since, no people, they're going to come in as the underdogs, but they definitely want to grab as much cash and glory as they can out of this monthly final. I think the semi-final number 2 arc is where things get really interesting, as Trick of China and TIG Origin, we mentioned it earlier, their seeding is not locked in for Worlds just yet. So depending on how they perform here, one team might overtake the other in the leaderboards.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because in that second game in the semi-finals, we're going to see that that classic playoff battle between those two teams. But also, it's going to be mentioned that Nova Esports have had a successful run of the entirety of this year. The only team still that could go undefeated. They've yet to not make it to a grand final. Could this be the day? Are no people going to stop them from doing what has seemingly been the impossible across all the other regions?
Yeah, I mean, no one seemed to be able to beat Nova so far. Maybe no people are going to be the ones to do it. It's definitely going to be a tough journey, but, you need a first for everything. And as you rightly said, Nova Esports undefeated so far in the monthly finals this year. And as you also said, the only team that has been undefeated so far this year.
They've never lost. They've been able to cling on. They've had some great reverse sweeps as well. I'm very keen to hear what the viewers at home have to say about this. Is it going to be that, just very, very standard, month for mainland China with just the predictable outcomes of Nova Esports dominating the region? Or Is No People, Trick of China, or TIG Origin going to do something about it? Who do you think is going to win this monthly final? Hashtag No People in the chat for them. Hashtag Trick of China. Hashtag TIG Origin or hashtag Nova Esports. Let's get those votes coming in fast.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I kind of want a team to beat Nova Esports, but at the same time, I think it's a cool story to be completely undefeated for an entire year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm torn, Ark.
I feel you. I absolutely feel you. I kind of want someone to come in and cause a major disruption, but I would also love to see a team this year go all the way through and be as consistent as we've seen so far from Nova Esports. There was a period of time, sort of around the middle to later part of the season where we saw some teams being able to rival that, and now it really is just Nova Esports that are the only team that have the potential to going all the way. But they've got their first stop up today here in this series. Hard Rock Mine will be the map for Gem Grab. Parallel plays for Hot Zone. Kaboom Canyon is the heist map as well. They are the three that we're definitely going to see. If we go all the way, though, Super Stadium for Brawl and Canal Grande as well coming up for Bounty.
Yeah, quite a wide array of maps. Moving on to a best of 5 as well here in the semifinals. Gonna make it a little bit harder for upsets, as best of 3 is a little bit more volatile, a little bit quicker as well. So if you can get some momentum going, it can be really quick. Here in a best of 5, much less overall, a little bit more just stabilized, I would say, and a little bit more predictable to a certain extent. But the bans really important in best of 5 as well, as you want to cover as many of those maps as you can. Mortis and Sandy coming in here for Nova Esports. Byron and Bell on the side of No People. I would say fairly good bans overall. Yeah. Anything particularly standing out here for you, Art?
I like the Byron ban. We've seen a great deal of Byron in this region, and also Nova Esports playing that particular brawler for me really, really well, and dominating with it. I like the Mortis pick as well here as a ban. I feel like that is a brawler which I think we're going to see a little bit more of in the coming weeks and months as well. Mortis is in a great place. Even last year, I was saying, how is this brawler escaping through the nerfs? And they just keep making it stronger and stronger. So I do relate a lot to that. Sandy, I think it's a good ban. I'm pretty happy. What about you?
I'm pretty happy too. I feel like a couple of brawlers may have sneaked their way through. I'm looking particularly at Leon, especially with parallel plays, being a player Leon. Maybe even on the Hard Rock Mine. Also Brock, just still really strong despite that emergency nerf. And Stu, potentially. But so far, none of that, as we'll have a fairly interesting matchup here. A wide variety of brawlers on both sides. Is that 6 different brawlers? I think it is, right?
Looks like it to me, yeah, absolutely. So very, very varied. Again, I've been saying for a long time that I feel like this is the most varied meta. We're seeing many more brawlers come into a shape and a form that are kind of more map specific now, which is a great thing to see. As well as the Trash Poco, 1/3 of the bad randoms making an appearance for No People. Definitely going to be hoping on the side of playing less in that respect on the trash side and more on the support side for Kugu, who does go down there. So leaving Unlucky alone to contest these gems, but doing pretty well and utilizing a lot of that Rosa growth to his disposal there to remain as unpredictable as possible.
Yeah, you already on 6 gems though. Unlucky only got 2 for his team, and Kugu, very low HP, does go down. And this is going to be a countdown for Nova Esports. The good news for No People is that they could take either today or OU down to put an end to that countdown. The bad news is that there's only 5 seconds left, and it doesn't seem like any of those situations are going to be arising here, as Nova Esports gets a pretty convincing first game, not gonna lie.
Yeah, today was not the person to be taking on the right-hand side lane. He was able to cycle very, very nicely there. I do feel like, with Rico being so rife at the moment in terms of the meta, that Rosa can struggle. The Bell ban is there, of course, which would be a great brawler to be able to sort of mark her up and take her down quickly. But for Rico, you're able to really cycle as today, with 49% of the team damage, 0 deaths, 5 kills. Just absolutely dominating for me in that game.
Ark, would you say that today is today's day?
I think today is definitely feeling like he's having a good day. Yeah, I would say so. He looks very comfortable, didn't seem deterred. I got to say, though, I did like to see a bit of Grow Light. It's a gadget for Rosa that we haven't seen really that much, since, other things have come into play. I do think this is a map that it can work really, really well, but the thing is that Rico is just one of those brawlers which can absolutely put that idea to rest with just one bouncy ball being able to show you up. At the same time, we have got the results in from the poll. Everybody watching at home has been frantically spamming the chat, no doubt at all. 52% of you feel like Nova Esports are going to continue their reign on the mainland China region. 24% for Trick of China, 16% for No People. TRG Origin coming in there on a low 8%. What are your thoughts, Teddy? Is that kind of what you expected to see?
Honestly, I rarely agree more with the community polls than that. I do feel like overall, No People, just by facing Nova Esports here, have a lower chance at winning than some of the other teams. And here maybe it's a little inflated, but besides that, I'm fairly happy with it. Not gonna lie, I really like the look of that.
Yeah, I absolutely with you there. We've seen a couple of, maybe some adventurous ideas before in the polls, but that does seem to me to be a pretty fair assessment of things. Wow, I wasn't going to say it. Let's see, though. 4 gems sitting in the middle. OU there just tapping really nicely on the right-hand side, but it is actually going to be a Spartan who comes in to split the gems, so we'll have to see whether that is the decision which will go against Nova Esports. So ideally, you kind of want to keep the gems with one particular brawler, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's never ideal when they are dispersed. Sometimes it can work in your favor, but the situations where it do just are far less often than when it ends up giving those gems away to your opponents, or at least making your countdowns a little bit less strong and a little bit worse of a setup, as we do have a little bit of a gem lead. Nothing too major just yet in favor of Nova. They're going to be looking for some kills now to secure a better position. OU is able to find Kugu, and that opens up the left-hand side. Unlucky immediately has to rotate over, and look at the space that created for Nova to get to gem number 9 and 10. That's the countdown starting for Nova Esports.
He was just tapping, and I do like the way that today he's just forced back the flow of action. Bouncy castle there for Kugu, who's trying to make something of the situation. It's 2 versus 1. I can't really see, but maybe the Rover Retreat star power will come in handy here to jig some of these shots. 2 seconds left, though. Not much time at all to get the reset. Not gonna happen. Nova just coming out of the gates very, very aggressive, and I feel like that is the right play here. No People, let's be honest, are the lesser experienced of these two teams, so going in like that, it's going to really ruffle their feathers. It's going to make them nervous, and that's where Nova Esports thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. A strong set from Nova to kick things off, and so far, the underdog story many were hoping for has not really been going too well for No People just yet. Still got plenty more opportunities. That's a nice thing about a best of 5. It's sure, maybe if you're not too warmed up in the first set, you can still make a comeback later on. But at the same time, Nova Esports, no one has ever been able to come back from them. No one's ever been able to defeat them in the first place. So it's not the start they were hoping for.
Wow, 8 gems grabbed to the 5 of Unlucky. But those 3 kills for me is what stands out in the differential there. OU looks very, very dangerous. In fact, all of Nova looks very dangerous at hitting their shots consistently. That is what's going to keep the pressure onto your opposition. That is what's going to keep your opposition at bay. And, No People just really seem to struggle a little bit, in all honesty. At least as far as gem grab is concerned. Maybe Hot Zone will fare better for them. Parallel plays is going to be the map, and again, it's going to be a big thing in terms of the decision making here as to do teams want to go on the aggressive. I imagine, looking at the last game, that Nova Esports might want to go in with that idea and just head straight for that top right hand side zone, but of course, it is the safer bet to kind of cap your spawn side first and then go on the aggressive. It depends on how teams want to play this one out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what impressed me the most, honestly, was Nova in that first set, was the fact that they barely died. Like, they played it really safe and still got so many kills. I think that's really, really impressive because, sometimes you have games where there's a lot of kills both ways, or you get a lot of kills because you're playing very aggressive. But they really weren't. They were just playing their game, playing safe, and still it looked that dominant on their side. And I feel like Parallel Plays is one of those maps where that can happen as well, since, you have that balance between aggression and decent defense on both zones, and I feel like that just gives a huge advantage overall to Nova. First of all, because they've been in those tough decision-making situations so many times before, but also just because they're just that good.
Yeah, and this is now the point where we're going to see, was that just Nova Esports having a great map and mode, or was that no people not able to hit the mark? Is this going to be a better time for them to get it right? I didn't feel like the comps were on point, to be honest, from no people. They're going to be going in with Poco and Buzz this time around, and the Rosa. So, already, I feel like Nova Esports have got a better handle on the meta. I do like Leon here. Jesse is a fantastic brawler. Also, Torm, I think that's maybe more of a sort of regional specific idea on parallel plays. As the stun is not going to deter today that much. The support from Beyond was there, and I don't really see how Rose is going to open his right-hand side zone. I feel like no people are in trouble.
Yeah, look at that aggression already, and I just really like that playstyle as well from Nova to go all in on aggression, and today doesn't even bother with his own zone, because if you can get the enemy zone, which it's looking like they will get very, very quickly, that's just so much value early on, and then you can just focus on defense for the second half of the game, giving you a huge advantage.
This is what I kind of expected to see, based on that last game in Gem Grab. Going on the aggressive here seemed like the right play to me, and there's only a very fractional left percentage-wise for Nova to cap on that top right-hand side. So it really is now for no people to contest the Nova zone, whilst making sure and keeping back OU and Asparta must be no easy feats whatsoever at all. No people are gaining capture points in their favor, but at the same time, it's that bottom left-hand side zone that they really have to start getting a firm grasp on.
Yeah, a couple of mistakes here and there from both teams. Gaki missing pool earlier, also today missing his pool against Gaki right after. So right now we do have Nova going to be sitting a little bit above 90%, I believe. Oh, exactly at 90 actually. Gaki is able to get the kill at last, but now it's going to be the interesting decision making for Nova. They will go for the offense, and look at that, everyone from No People forced back, and they are not able to deal with Aspartam. All right, well, that's going to be Nova with the first game of Hot Zone.
Very, very great to see Nova Esports, they are taking this seriously, and I think that's something which can be underrated to say in these stages with teams that have already qualified, secured their #1 seed. Are they going to sort of, take a bit of a back seat? Are they going to take it easy, or are they going to fight all the way until the very end and demonstrate why they are the best in their region? Again, those bragging rights and prize money still at stake, very much so. But Nova Esports are just treating this like any other day. I really enjoy seeing them play this way. It's very, very much the same way that I like to play Brawl, being very aggressive and in your face, and not trying to give your opposition any opportunity, because they can then ride off the back of that momentum. At the moment, the chokehold is very much around No People, and Nova just going to strength to strength.
Yeah, Nova looking incredible as always, and so far No People have been no match, but we never know. With some adjustments here and there, things could definitely go better. I think that we saw a couple of mistakes on their end, especially with the Buzz, for example, missing a couple of pools. And that sort of stuff, it just can't happen if you're playing against Nova Esports. Like, every single of those small mistakes, they just end the game against Nova, because you need every little thing you can work with to even stand a chance. And if you throw some of those away, even if it was really hard to actually hit in the first place, it's just really tough to make anything out of those games.
Yeah, you cannot put a foot wrong against a team like Nova Esports. They're just too consistent. Again, arguably the most consistent team this year on paper. So, no people are going to have to dig really deep here. They're not out of their depth just yet. There's still time. But, if Nova keep this up and the decision-making, it's, again, still very much on point. Bit of a different comp, though, got to say. Haven't really seen B that much, really, on parallel plays for a while. But, at the same time, I feel like Nova have got the skill and the patience to play it right.
Yeah, a good start from OU as he takes down Gaki on the right-hand side. Let's get pushed up by Unlucky. I do kind of like the gadget decision from the Sioux on Aspartam, going for a bit more of a team play orientation rather than the individual plays you can get from the second gadget. So far it's been working out fairly well for Nova, as they have that early invasion they were hoping for, and there's nothing Gaki can do in that position. He's just done for.
Yeah, this is going to be a really tough spot, honestly, for no people to get out of. OU's able to shut down this with a wall, and yeah, today actually playing the B now makes a bit of sense. You know, having that range and that big pack of punch there, it's going to be a deadly thing. Spartam's in the perfect place for able to follow up shots as well. There's literally nothing no people can do about this.
Yeah, this has to be some form of cyberbullying art. It really does.
Well, let's get the admins involved. That is, yeah, what can you really say about that? Spartam knows they're not even needing to cap the zone anymore, and that is a demoralized looking spawners. No people are just now waiting for the inevitable, the timer to tick down. I mean, that says it all so far. Are no people going to be able to regain and collect themselves here, or are they just completely outmatched? It seems to be the latter so far. They're going to have to really, really look to some kind of magic at this point to turn this one around.
Yeah, I think magic is the correct word, Ark. I never want to, rule a team out until it's over, but at the same time, I haven't seen any sign of life yet from no people for this matchup. And I just feel like Nova Esports, they don't even look like they're being bothered. You know what I mean? It doesn't even look like they're trying. Like they're playing their just most regular gameplay, their most traditional gameplay, not taking any risks, playing extremely safe, and it still looks like they're going all in with crazy strategies. You know what I mean? It's really, really beautiful play from Nova overall, and it just shows how much they can shine here in Brawl Stars. Wow. Impressive performance from them so far, but honestly, I would even dare to say the performance we expect from them at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, if you want to call out a team and say it's all over before it is, absolutely. You've also got to say how you see it. And at the moment, you know, we were still waiting for that little bit of a sign of promise, really, from No People. Some brawler comps that kind of give Nova a bit more of a run for their money, put them a bit more onto that kind of back foot and put some pressure back to them. You know, but the opposite, really, you know, staying still when you spawn. I've seen teams do it, you know, and make comebacks, but it definitely does something about team morale at the moment. Kaboom Canyon may be the last game mode that we see in terms of heist in this particular series. It is still, I feel, a good one that does cater towards No People if they can maybe just go on that base race hunt here, get a set under their belt and just start to try to regain their composure here. I don't feel like at the same time Nova Esports are going to be giving them any look in, any chance. And I think they're going to continue to keep that hold over them and give them, you know, a real battle here to fight for.
I think that Nova are trying to speedrun their way through this monthly final, to be honest. I don't think they are to be messed around with. Yeah, Kaboom Canyon, also a really good map and mode for Nova, which is not going to be helping No People's cause. It's going to be a bit of a challenge here if they can make anything happen, and I genuinely wish they can. That would be really great. No better time to start a comeback than once you're behind by 2 sets. At the same time, they are behind by 2 sets, and that's kind of the trend we've been seeing so far. I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out in my head whether it's, you know, a speed run for Nova Esports or a speed run to just try to ensure that Ark gets to cast as little of this month as humanly possible. Let's see. It has flown by, and I kind of feel like in some ways it's a good thing that we've got Brawl Ball as our our 4th set here, because otherwise it could be over even faster. At the moment, it's Nova Esports getting their heels stuck firmly into the mid. Again, we've seen that nanny pick coming back a little bit now recently into Heist, and I think rightly so for good reason. That could be the thing which No People can utilize here to, you know, bring Nova Esports back into the depths of their spawn. At the same time, though, they are holding firm despite going down. The damage is also raining down on the safe as we speak. Just at 4%, but it's the positioning here that Nova Esports have over No People. They are pushed so tightly back into their spawn right now.
Yeah, this could be the chance here with the TP coming through on that safe, and finally some damage going the way of No People. Actually, they were even in the almost in the lead for a second. Not for long though, as Nova Esports back with control, and now Kugo has to work again to get his next super, and this is just looking really good for Nova today, considering I think going for the double jump on that safe. That's a massive amount of damage if you can get it. But standing on that safe is just a little bit of an overextension he was not willing to go through.
And don't underestimate the power of those rocket incendiaries from that star power. It can honestly melt the safe down, and the rocket fuel just to break open a lot of this bush area. It's going to expose the positionings of No People as they try to regain their composure on this defense. The Invisi Hill coming in from Gaki on the right-hand side. That gets taken down for his trouble. Let's see, though, can Nova Esports potentially finish this hit right here, right now? Unlucky is going to trickle down there as a result of the poison. Does get the kill there from today, and yeah, this is surely all over, Teddy.
Yeah, I don't see any ways to come back at this point, as Nova Esports get to match point here, just a game away from yet another grand final. They've attended every single grand final this year here in the mainland China region, and they've won every single one of them. So far, just, you know, keeping up with their usual winning ways.
So far, so good. Gotta be honest, you know, Nova Esports have had a couple of close calls in the semifinals. It's either been 3-0s or 3-2s. We saw the 3-2s back in July and June. This is looking to go along the trend of the 3-0s, in my opinion, so far. Again, you know, we can't discount No People just yet. We've seen reverse sweeps happen, but you do look for some signs of promise along the way. You got to see some fights. You got to see some back and forth really so far. And at the moment, Nova have eradicated that idea. It's been simply all about them today so far.
Yeah, it really has been. I mean, 25,000 damage to save compared to zero. The same brawler. I think that just says a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, this is not an easy matchup for No People, and I think at this point, that's how everyone sees Nova China in the region, right? They're just hoping not to face them, or when they eventually will, they're hoping to face them as far as possible in that bracket. Semifinals, I would say good enough for No People. They'll definitely be happy with that. I don't think any team is angry to lose against Nova Esports at this point. They just know it's meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're playing this strong, there's already 2 takedowns there, just leaving a poor little nanny on that defense, and now Kugo goes down himself. Today's in a great spot here as well. We might have to jump, but I think it's probably better to not, in all fairness. Having that wall there might be a good thing. It might be also something which they might want to consider getting down at a later date. Obviously, Unlucky will be trying to use as much of that coverage as possible to put a bit more pressure on things. But again, those walls, I imagine running photosynthesis, I need to look out a little bit more for there as the break that I kind of felt would be inbound. But you know, all we got to say really so far is that same story of No People being back in this board.
Yeah, Kugu does find OU has a peep to work with. Gonna be going for the TP on the right-hand side, the traditional spot to get your Nani in and just cause a ton of chaos. But look at that. Everyone from Nova Esports is just there to deal with him, and that means that his super is, I wouldn't quite say wasted, as it did give quite a bit of a center control for No People, but they found no value of it, at least not percentage-wise.
Yeah, I like the warp portal there from OU. I feel like sometimes that's an underrated thing to consider for teams. They always obviously like to go, you know, very much on the aggressive into the back depths of the spawn, but you know, having, you know, warp blast straight onto your opposition, and one that's a really difficult counter to handle, going with the sprout there, I think it's a wise choice. I feel like this is a great opportunity as well to get a ton of damage to Spartam. Tapping on the right hand side, another peep coming in for No People, but at this point I feel like Nova can probably just go on the aggressive here and get some damage for their own, trickling down on their own save, but still not in any real sign of danger for me.
Yeah, I mean, they're able to deal with those peeps so well as well, to be honest. Those TPs just, they don't even feel as scary as they usually do, just because Nova Esports, they have the answer for it, and they're able to make sure it doesn't result in too much damage on that save. We do have a final push here from No People, and it is definitely a situation they could win, but they need to make it happen quickly, and that TP from OU does not help. Kugu will be dealing some decent damage, but just not to be matched with Nova Esports as they take the 3-0 victory against No People.
And my goodness me, that was comfortable. I mean, Nova really for me at the moment are in tip-top shape. It's got to be said. I worry for the next team to face them in the finals. Trick of China or TIG Origin have, for me, they've got their work cut out. I think that's safe to say. My goodness me, possibly one of the fastest. It definitely feels like it's one of the fastest that we've seen in the semi-final stage.
Yeah, I mean, it was extremely convincing, as we said over and over again. We had a whole best of 5 to, I mean, a whole best of 5. We had 3 sets, right, to just say how comfortable that was for Nova, and it definitely felt like it. It's really, really interesting how strong Nova manages to be this consistent over and over again this entire season, just looking unbeatable, and they quite literally are at this point.
6-0 sweeps in terms of the 3-0 in the best of 5 stages, 4 of which have happened in semi-final stages. So it definitely feels like that part of the competition Nova have really got down. Can they add a 7th to that today? And the way they're playing, I feel like that's possible. But I've got to say as well, the way that Trick of China and TIG Origin played themselves out in the quarterfinals did impress me a great deal. But again, look at Spartan, that 29.8k damage to the safe, and that similar donut that we saw again happening on the side of No People, no damage to the safe. But I feel like they had a great quarterfinals today, and did well for themselves regardless.
Yeah, I think they had a good run. You know, that's what I mentioned earlier as well. I think that for most teams, especially when you're not in that top 3, if you lose to Nova Esports, that's just what you expected in the first place. I don't think anyone faces Nova Esports and thinks, this is winnable. They definitely, think there's a chance, but it's just that low, and they know it at this point. I mean, Nova Esports proved it to us. I think this second semifinal, though, might be a lot closer, Art, and there's a lot more on the line as well, as I believe there's only 15 points between those two teams. So if I am correct, that would mean that whoever wins this second semifinal is going to be taking the second seed in the rankings right now for the mainland China region.
So much at stake, those seeds can turn around and become a real factor in the competition. I'm very keen to look back actually when we do make it to the World Finals to see how those seeds could have changed, what the other potential opportunities could have been for teams, and whether they'll be kicking themselves that they don't really take advantage of these moments that are right in front of them as we speak. But I agree, Trick of China and TIG Origin, I feel this is going to be a much, much closer match. I was very excited to watch from the sidelines those games play out earlier in the quarterfinal stages, and yeah, this could be a chance to get their thumbs warmed up for what is a Titan match in our grand final today.
Yeah, this is definitely quite a semi-final right ahead of us. Trick of China versus TIG, two teams that have been so closely matched throughout the year, with just Nova, looking from above their shoulder. But right now, I really don't know which team is better between Trick of China and TIG, and I just can't wait to find out throughout this best of 5.
Well, Nuts and Bolts is the map for Siege up first, and we've seen some variations on kind of prior metas today in Siege. You saw some BB earlier today, and I do like that brawler here. I don't know if we're going to see it, but obviously that's going to depend very much first and foremost on the bans, which will be flying in very shortly. How do you feel about Siege as being the first game mode? Do you feel it's one that allows teams to get warmed up effectively, or is it one that's going to kind of really be a bit of a problem early on? All bans are in as well.
I'll reply to that question later on. Let's go through the bands first. Mortis and Stu for Trick of China, Sprout and Bell for TIG. I would say fairly standard for the most part. Sprout stands out the most for me, but I've noticed honestly that a lot of teams sometimes just hate Sprout, and it's not even that it's extremely strong or anything along those lines. They just hate facing it, and I can't get why. It's a really strong brawler that can do a lot of stuff, pretty versatile as well, and sometimes just it can be a bit of a nightmare to dodge his shots, or if you get walled off, it can be very frustrating. And I've seen so many teams that they just don't like Sprout, they just ban it even if it's not the strongest brawler available.
And it seems to me like Sprout definitely is a front runner in this region. It seems to be the go-to thrower, no question about it. We've seen a lot of Sprout today, and kind of in places that I kind of maybe sort of question a little bit. There are really strong counters to Sprout. I mean, one of those big counters is Mortis, who is banned here, but nonetheless, I still feel like there's a lot of potential to be able to get that particular brawler out of the mix. Dynamite coming out for good night. We have seen a lot of Dynamite making a play in Siege in this region, so I'm not the most surprised to see it, in all honesty. And it's going to really come down to Goodnight hitting those shots, which she is. But now on defense, with that level 2 coming in, how is Dynamite going to fare on defense?
Yeah, it's not going to be as easy. However, it does deal a decent amount of damage. Stun goes through as well. And so far, the defense is pretty clean. They'll take no damage. Actually, I was going to say a little bit of damage, but no damage whatsoever. White does go down, and this is not the perfect retake situation for Trick of China. But they have 4 bolts in the bank, which means that if they can just get 1 or 2 now, they should be at least in a good position for the third bout.
Yeah, they've got to fight for this mid and ensure that they can get some pushes. It wouldn't be the worst of things if they don't get this next push, in all honesty, but they're definitely going to need to close the deficit in terms of bolts. Yeah, that's not too bad. They're going to be banking possibly 6 on the back of this now. White going in is actually not the bad shout. He could have almost got a bolt for his troubles there, but taken down now to lead the defense to both Goodnight and Imp. That stun from Jason will not be a stun. It was actually going to be a gadget there as well, so that's not going to harm him in terms of the defense. Possibly got a Sweet Dreams up his sleeve here as well if needed, but that's a lot of damage early on. Let's see now whether Trick of China can recollect themselves to get this final push. If they do get that push, they're going to have to get that damage that's going to be able to close the gap here. There's a lot of bolts in the mid. That's a lot of takedowns as well, so this could be a big boy coming in.
Yeah, it should be a decent-sized siege bot for Trick of China. The real question at this point is going to be, can they deal enough damage? They need 68% for the tie, 69 for the win. And it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Look at the positioning from TIG as well. Really aggressive, looking to maybe find a kill early on, or at least deal some damage on that bot the earlier they can. It's going to be Jason to go down to the bot early on. They deal a decent amount to the bot, but he's going to be hitting that safe like that Ike, rather like a truck. And look at that. That should be enough damage. Yes.
Yeah.
They make it happen. Trick of China take the first game.
That for me says a lot about Trick of China. It's that ability to remain composed in those circumstances where, you haven't got a single push, but you're still defending with brawlers that maybe don't strike me as being the best in terms of their defensive capabilities. When you're able to still get that last push and still ensure that you get enough damage, 70% has already been conceded. So, despite being able to go all in, there's still that pressure to remain on your feet all the way until the very end. Jason did well, I felt, in that position. They did go down very quickly, but if he was able to connect a little bit more with some of those shots there, it could have been the thing to slow down the pace. But, he did cycle towards the end. It was just a little bit too late for me.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's never a position you really big siege bot heading your way, and the question is just, can you defend well enough? It still feels like you have things a little less under control than if you are pushing. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but overall it was just really well played by Trick of China, able to really stay composed, although the situation was really dire at some point and it looked like it could slip out of their control. They were able to get that final bot, and that's the thing with Siege. And honestly, answering your question from earlier, Ark, I think Siege can be a great mode for underdogs, especially because of that volatility. Just getting that final bot sometimes does the trick, and even though overall you can't argue that TIG played better, Trick of China, they were able to get that final bot.
And, to remind ourselves of a few scorelines back in previous months, TIG Origin more or less have had the edge over Trick of China. Back in March, that 3-1 in the semi-finals, a 3-0 in April. It was Trick of China with a 3-1, but that wasn't to TIG Origin in the semi-finals. Again, TIG Origin in June, 3-0. So, this could be the time for Trick of China to turn things around, demonstrate their growth in this year's competition. And that's a really powerful statement to come out swinging the way they have done so far, but they've got to keep it up.
Yeah, different momentum this time around as Trick of China is able to get the first bot. 3 balls for TIG. White able to deal with Jason on the right-hand side. Going to be winning that mirror matchup as Goodnight still on that dynamite. And honestly, I think it paid off pretty decently in the previous game. This bot is going to be really close. Should be heading the way of Trick of China in the end. And if they can keep this bolt count like that, TIG, they're not in the best spot. They only have 3 bolts in the bank for the final bout.
Okay, well, if we even get that far, to be fair, at this rate, if Trick of China can keep up the consistency, a bit of a miss there from Jason, didn't quite connect, an Imp just on the back end of that does get the takedown, a lot of damage raining down here.
This is
done and dusted, honestly. Yeah, that is all over. Trick of China with a very, very dominant first set in Siege, and TIG Origin, you know, when we go back to consider their previous scorelines, have got to be taking that into serious consideration.
Yeah, that is very, very strong from Trick of China. I think a bit of a statement as well. You know, the first game, maybe they stole it a little bit, you know, by just getting that final bot and getting the win by a narrow 20% or so. This time around, they get 2 bots, they close it in 2 bots. You know what I mean? It's a much more convincing way in. It should be helping their confidence as well, getting into the second set. And it should also, you know, make things feel a little bit more right to their side of things. So good stuff from Trick of China, a much needed first set, and what a way to close it out as well.
And again, I'm looking back through, and I think I'm right in saying that TIG Origin, when they face off against Trick of China, they always go through to the grand final. It's never really occurred where Trick of China have been able to get the win over them in the semi-finals. So that is the way to start that trend changing. I mean, we have seen a bit of a sway towards Trick of China recently, you know, in these later months in the competition, being able to get their way through the bracket to face against Nova Esports in the grand final. But when it comes down to their face-off against TIG Origin, they've struggled. They really have in previous months to make it through this far. And it seems to me like they're starting to change the trend. Will Ring of Fire be a chance to see a bit of a mix-up in that pattern?
Maybe. It could definitely be. I mean, if we look at the consistency of the first game, I did feel like, you know, consistency-wise, it was a little stronger from Trick of China. They did get the 2 first bots. They had a little bit more control overall. Maybe, sorry, TIG, I meant maybe they can, you know, try to reflect that a little bit more coming into Hot Zone. It's definitely not going to be an easy task, especially as Trick of China are moving into the second set with a little bit more momentum, a little bit of a better mood as well. And that can definitely make the difference at this level.
Well, in terms of brawler choices, Ring of Fire, we've seen the Leon pick that I feel is going to make a return here. You know, what kind of other brawlers do you expect to see kind of, you know, in Ring of Fire in this particular region, Teddy?
I mean, you know, we've seen the Crows and the Byrons a lot. I think maybe the 2 most iconic brawlers of the region. So maybe there's something to do around that. Overall, I do like Rico on the lane quite a bit. Yep. I think it can find a lot of value, can deal with a lot of different situations. And mid, you can never go wrong with some long-range brawlers. You know, bringing in a Piper or Bella, I do like that approach quite a bit. 8-bit, I think, can be a really strong brawler here as well, especially combined with a Byron that I believe is banned, but still some options here and there to go in with some interesting comps and try to open things up. I think Tara was a really, really good idea earlier that we don't see very often on this map, and it can cause a lot of chaos if it's played in the right position.
Well, Trick of China ban Morton Stu, TIG Origin, Sprout, and Bell. So we'll see. I think Leon would be a good shout in that regard. I think you're right. The 8-bit could be great here. I mean, Byron is a great brawler to keep that 8-bit alive. But there are some advantages to having your damage booster be able to be, you know, sort of maintained behind that little L wall. It's a really good spot to combine with Chikar just to kind of keep going back there to heal if you need to, if it gets overran. I just wonder whether that Byron, you know, is, well, yeah, I think that if I'm going to play 8-bit, I've got to combine it with that Byron. I feel like that's the way to go, really. But I agree. I think Rico is a very underrated brawler. We're starting to see a bit of Penny, actually, in that same regard of having that turret being able to hunger behind the wall. Not too sure whether we'll see it, but at the same time, regional ideas can escape through. We just haven't really seen much of that kind of brawler today. But Leon, for sure, it does seem like Mainland China have cottoned on to the strength of that particular brawler.
Yeah, I think that Leon is a particularly good shout because Sprout is banned. And honestly, on the Ring of Fire, you know, it's the most likely brawler, most likely thrower you're going to see, right? It's going to be that Sprout. Barley is a little bit risky because if you get pushed up close, you don't really have as many options to lock yourself in or out of those sticky situations. So with Sprout out of the way, I feel like Leon can place his lollipop drops a lot more efficiently, and there's less opportunities for your opponents to take them out.
Exactly that. You really want that gadget, and we're preempting that gadget coming into play, but it is, in my opinion, and yours also, I know, the stronger of the two right now. It'd be kind of very unusual to not see it. Clone Projector not really in a place that's going to, you know, be able to rival it at the moment in terms of the competitive meta. But yeah, Sprout would absolutely have been a key component to getting that out the mix quickly. And without that in play, I think that's going to make a bit of a difference. We may see some Pi, but again, it's a bit of a riskier choice. And yeah, I think the Colette is the wiser of the two, but no sign of 8-bit. So, no, but the Byron and the Colette will serve a similar purpose. I just feel like 8-bit would have been a better choice for Trick of China here, but double heal, Poco and Pam, for TIG Origin. A very different comp being played out here, and the spike on the left-hand side to try to deter the heals from Goodnight going on to white.
Yeah, Spike is a good call. I think it can do quite a bit. And also, talking about Leon, we don't see it here, but I do feel like Spike is a good option to deal with those lollipop drops as well if they were to come at some point. And look at that. Yeah, that's exactly why White is rocking that Colette, because if he can chain those supers and have that shield up with the heals from Goodnight at the same time, it's just going to be really hard to get him out of this position pretty much ever.
Yeah, I honestly feel like Byron here cannot be understated. It can just literally keep someone in the mix, and White is that person at the moment who's just absolutely going to town. Jason solo, forced to heal on the left-hand side. I think he might have popped actually a gadget there as well for himself, just simply to be able to come around this left-hand side flank. Now, Imp is in a position to be able to keep the pressure on, but I do feel like at the moment, TIG Origin is starting to regain a little bit of that composure lost in the early outset of this game.
What I really liked was that combination of Colette and Byron with this matchup is that from afar, which is where most fights are going to be happening in mid, it's only chip damage from TIG, right? Poco doesn't deal any damage, Pam deals decent damage up close, but from afar not really, and same with Spike. If you only hit one Spike, that's not that much damage, and Byron can just heal you up so quickly. And that's why it basically hasn't gone down a single time this game, because there's just not the firepower on the side of TIG to deal with him at that range and deal more damage than the Byron is healing. So great stuff from Trick of China. Really, really smart comp, and it definitely paid off.
It really did. It really did. I like the idea that TIG Origin were trying to go with the Pam and the Poker for heals, but honestly, like, you can just see how much better it served Trick of China to have just that Byron dedicated healer onto White playing on that Colette, and then allow Imp to go on the more aggressive and just have that kind of top right-hand side chokehold there. 65% of that team damage then on the side of White, his most used brawler being Buzz, but not one that we saw in that particular matchup, but the 6-to-1 kill to death ratio very much in his favor. Again, I've got to reiterate, man, like, TIG Origin have, at this stage in the competition, when they faced off against Trick of China, had, they've beaten them 3-0s. More often than not, 3 times they've run into each other in the semi-final stages, and 3 times TIG Origin have come out on tops. But Trick of China at the moment, they seem to be in a great place mentally, and from what we're seeing on the playing field, in a fantastic position.
Yeah, that was a great game. The most convincing one, or one of the most convincing one we've seen them have in a long time, especially against a team like TIG. And it's really impressive to see. We'll see if they can keep it up and make it a second set. But so far, it's been pretty much a Trick of China show. And the difference between this matchup and the one between No People and Nova Esports we saw earlier is we did have more signs of life from TIG, especially in Siege. So I would be more keen to, saying that a comeback is possible here. But Trick of China so far showing a lot of signs of greatness, and that's just something we love to see from them.
Yeah, exactly that. And, it just goes to show how much time they've been putting into the game. We've seen that pattern going more and more in their favor. And look at TIG now, taking a leaf out of the book of Trick of China, going with the Byron. But I kind of feel like this may have been preempted. Goodnight going to the B is actually a pretty decent brawler to have to be able to get rid of the Byron quickly. But also my question to you really is, like, what's the Byron's purpose here? Because he's not trying to heal any particular mid player. I guess to spend the team support, but it's kind of unusual in my opinion to see a Byron without a kind of 8-bit or a Colette or some kind of real healing purpose.
I think that's where Byron can actually go a pretty long way, and is a little underused, I would say. Although it's not working out too well for them so far, I do feel like Byron is actually just a decent mid, even without, being a full-on healer. He can do a lot. He deals as much damage as something like a Bell, or really not far from it. So you can definitely do quite a bit, and you have that extra edge of being able to heal up your teammates or yourself quite consistently. So the potential is there. It is working out a little better now for TIG, although Jason, not going to get marked just yet by Goodnight. Still in that zone, and TIG, they're going to be catching up.
Great use from Goodnight. Takes one shot there, though, but now has the amplified shot. Went for a shot in the dark, and it didn't pay off, but has got that slowdown to hand. I'm surprised he didn't use it actually going into the zone when he had his teammates to be able to accompany him, but definitely Trick of China struggling a little bit here. White probably will go down here. Actually, no, he's able to pull up a black hole there, but probably would have preferred to have had the healing shade there, just surviving on with 22 HP. But this is the chance now for Trick of China to be able to come back here and hold their positions. If they can do that, they can still do this. That super on the left-hand side there being exposed on the TRG Origin side, and Goodnight is able to then get back and evade that.
Yeah, all right. Now, still a pretty good lead for Trick of China. Push coming forward here for TIG. White does end up going down, but it's a trade. Blue Shadow able to keep that man advantage for TIG. And they're trying to catch up percentage-wise, but that super from Imp is just going to keep them away for now. 81% on Trick of China, close to making it a second set. But TIG, they're not far behind, and they have center control for now. Getting closer and closer to tying things up once more. As Goodnight does have his super, might try to go for a cheeky slow here, but not able to really line anyone up just yet.
I'm surprised, in all honesty, that we've only just seen TRG Origin take that lead. I feel like they've been in the middle of the zone for a long time now. They've still got a pretty decent chance of tying this game up with 5%. Yeah, I can't see how now Trick of China can come back, but they're going to try to make it go for it. No, or very little time. If they do this, oh my word, can they do this? Is this going to happen?
It's really close. Oh my god. At 1%. Oh my god.
No way. No way. Okay. I can't believe that. I cannot believe that.
That was insane. That was it, because not only did they manage to come back, but TIG, they did step in the zone a couple of times towards that end as well, you know? So they were getting so close to 100% themselves. It was that close, but Trick of China, I don't know if it's, you know, a little bit of luck here and there, but for the most part, they showed a lot of skill in this match so far today, and this is play of the day. This is play of the day.
It is. I threw a pen. It didn't come out on the camera, but I feel like now I don't need it. I've seen enough to confirm how this one's going to go. That is an insane comeback, because I was looking at the clock. We both kind of went silent because we were both so nervous about whether it was even going to be possible. I mean, look at that. That is the clutchest of the clutches. Because you had the timer against you as well as the deficit. That's the thing there. That is why that play was so impressive.
Dude, that was insane. I think maybe one of the best hot zone plays I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Wow. We both even like we were just watching at some point and we were like, oh, we actually have to cast this gameplay as well.
But I've never seen it be that close. So it's like one of those things where, is it possible? Is it going to happen? And my goodness me, I mean, Trick of China already doing fantastically well, again, considering those previous score lines against these two teams. But surely now, what did TIG Origin now have to do to bring this one back? Because that is going to be a defeat that is going to sting.
Yeah, and the craziest part as well is that they had the comeback there, right? They were starting to really switch some momentum towards their side, starting to look more and more dominant, and they were the ones that were gonna, pull off an insane comeback. In the end, Trick of China, they just shut that down, and TIG, they got nothing from it. Absolutely nothing. It's crazy, and, just a little bit of momentum towards TIG, completely shut down by Trick of China. And now, as we are already in a 2-0 lead for Trick of China, they just need one set, and I don't know if TIG, they have time to really recover, morally and emotionally from that loss.
Yeah, this is exactly the thing. Like, have they got anything left in their morale? Because that's a tough thing, and the minecart may very well be a friend of Trick of China today. If that's the case, then I can just see them taking a further pounding here. TIG, they've got to make friends with the minecart. They've got to get a fourth player involved in this next matchup. Otherwise, this could again be one of the fastest semi-final stages of this particular region that I've ever been involved in. And again, that makes me question, what is going on today? Why does the team want me to get off camera as quickly as possible? What's that about, Teddy?
I don't know, Ark. Honestly, I couldn't understand. I think you have the most beautiful voice and best insights. I really couldn't relate. If it was Falcone, I would have said, yeah, maybe, but with you, I don't get it, Ark. I don't know what they have against you today.
You and Falcone are buttering me up way too much. That makes me even more suspicious. Okay, well, Minecart Madness, here we come. Again, you know, the Bell pick here as a ban, I feel is going to be quite important. Sprout 2 could have been a viable mid, not one that we've seen necessarily too much as of recently, but one that, you know, I remember, you know, a few months back, North America and Latin North loved to play Sprout mid here. You know, Mortis as well could be a decent ban. Stu as well here. Let's see. So 8-bit, okay, coming out for TRG as well as the Byron. That could be a decent combination, actually. Good night going with the Piper, taking a bit more of that risk. So I think Trick of China here have got to hold this mid. They've got to hope to not get pushed back into a spawn. Otherwise, Good night might not be able to help that much.
Yeah, I think for TIG, it's all about the setup, right? Getting that 8-bit turret placed down. This is when they can start shining. Before that, it's going to be hard. I do like the potential of their comp quite a bit, because especially with a Spike, but also even with a Byron, what looks like chip damage from afar, if you get that 8-bit turret below you, that's going to become just some pretty heavy damage anyways, and start to be really serious and something you need to deal with. Plusha just barely makes it out of there. Will be able to fall back for now. R3 not in the best position, forced to fall back a little bit himself, as Goodnight is already on 7 gems, 3 more, and that's a countdown. And so far, every single gem is going the way of Trick of China. TIG was just the one on Plusha, and it's not a good position for them. They're in a rough spot.
I don't know whether it meant to do that, but it does make me realize the effectiveness of being able to use that life plant to actually just immediately heal yourself if you wish. White is the last remaining and forcing back plus there. Oh my word, that was a great angle. That was a great angle. Not able to get the kill, but Good Night will try to make that happen. Gem's too far forwards, really. Can't really contest it. Just going to take that one from the mid and come straight back then for Trick of China, who again look to me like they're going to be moving on to match point quite comfortably.
Yeah, this is looking pretty excellent for Trick of China. Match points coming up. And you mentioned it earlier, Ark, but I think this would be the first time that Trick of China beat TIG in a semi-final.
Yep.
Beating them 3-0 without dropping a single game would be just another level of an achievement.
It's never happened. It's never happened in semi-finals. TRG got a 3-0 against Trick of China back in April. And again, back in June prior to that, in March, it was a 3-1 in favor of TRG Origin. So, you know, we've just seen that similar pattern recurring time and time again against these two teams. So it will be a first, a tournament first.
Yeah, well, first for everything today, as maybe they could be the first to beat Nova Esports in the grand finals. Maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, Ark, as they still have to close out this semi-final first. But so far, only good signs from Trick of China.
There's a lot of gems there in the hands of Good Night. Well, again, I think the Piper pick was risky, but again, I do like to say it, you know, taking that risk can pay off if you're able to keep composure, stay in that mid, and not lose position. Obviously, if you do, then getting out of the spawns can be very tricky, but having that additional range against a brawler like 8-bit goes a long way. The lack of speed there to really evade a lot of those shots. You're going to struggle in the mid. It's going to be TRG Origin that have got to make the change. I do feel like Trick of China have just come so prepared. We saw in the previous round of Ring of Fire when there was some adaptations on the side of TRG Origin. Actually, Trick of China did so themselves and kind of tried to preempt what was coming. I wonder whether we'll see that same thing recur.
Yeah, it's really, really tough to find too much hope for TIG at this point, especially with some of those very demoralizing, losses that they got in this match. I'm gonna assume Trick of China close things out here, but chances are there, and if any team can reverse sweep Trick of China, it's gonna be TIG. We have to keep that in mind, right? TIG and Nova, they're the only team that really matched Trick of China's level, if not surpassed them, especially for Nova, right? But hope is still there. It's just there's a lot of stuff they need to go through before it works. This is gonna be their final chance to make that happen.
Well, Tick coming out for TIG Origin here. That might not be a bad idea. It's going to encourage Good Night to have to juke a little bit more in this mid. And the Piper pick, I think, from Jason is definitely the way to go here. Max is an interesting one. So how much that speed really is going to come over in favor of his teammates. But at the same time, you know, going on the super aggressive, trying to earn that super early on to come then back from the spawn with a super could be the plan here. A lot of damage being rained down. A nice little homemade recipe from Goodnight there, saying good night. And it could be almost good night for TIG Origin.
That was a lot of good nights, Arc, but so far, to be honest, I don't know if it's night in mainland China right now, but if it is, it's been a pretty good night for Trick of China, as they have a decent gem count right now. White in trouble does go down, but honestly, he is happy to give those gems back to Good Night. He's the gem carrier for the team, so nothing too bad there. Not gonna go for that extra gem, although he could have with that super. Gonna go for it now. Is able to pick it up, doesn't even have to use a super for it. And this is how you start really building that gem card. When you start taking those gems that spawn on the enemy side, that's where you can make the difference. He does get sniped off in the end. Him trying to get as many gems as he can with such a wide lead, even though the next one doesn't spawn on their side. The one right now will, and they just need to pick that up to start the countdown.
Yeah, and there it is. And the max pick kind of makes a bit more sense now. That phase shifter there going into tank, whilst then Imp was able to pick the gems up. Not great to have them split, to be fair. If they can get Good Night here, it will reset. Or Imp, he looks like, yeah, standing still a little bit too long there. But actually, Good Night's not the worst person to have the gems with now. But he needs to get super early. He needs to make sure that he's got something to go on the defensive. Or Imp and White have got to do a lot of work to push back this onslaught here coming in.
Yeah, this is not happening, Arc. This is not happening. No one even close to Good Night. This is gonna be Trick of China with the 3-0 victory against TIG Origin. First here in the monthly finals for mainland China. And maybe they have a couple of more tricks up for us in the grand finals against Nova.
I've got a feeling. I actually no. I'm not going to say it. I'm not
don't jinx
anything.
it,
I'm not saying it. I've done this. I've been here before, and I'm not saying it. But you know what I'm thinking, Teddy. You know what I'm thinking. We'll leave it there. My word, that was exciting to watch. And yeah, there's some highlights again. Trick of China have just been growing so well in this competition. We've seen genuine and real growth from them in their score lines, in their patterns that they've been able to turn around along the way, and today was no different to that.
Yeah, this was really great from Trick of China. So far, the show today has been really exciting. I think we had some really great stories, and Trick of China gonna look to keep that one up in the grand finals. Can they be the ones to give Nova Esports their first loss in the Brawl Stars Championship 2021? Maybe, if they play like they play today. So far, there's definitely a decent chance, but we have to keep in mind, Nova Esports, they are undefeated for a reason, and I just can't wait to watch that grand final.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one to keep your eyes on. Do not go anywhere. A little bit of downtime, obviously, between now and then, but this is going to be an interesting one for sure. Nova Esports looking to retain their domination on this region and their undefeated status. Good night, though. I've got to say, I felt like he was playing really well for his team today so far, and was a key component to a lot of the reasons why Trick of China were able to control as well as they did, taking that risk, playing the Piper, and just connecting a lot of those shots to make sure that they just had that control that they needed. Nova Esports, though, got to say, they are an entirely different beast, and I feel like this is going to be much more back and forth, as we've seen today being pretty much those sweeps occurring.
Yeah, every time you say today, Arc, I never know if you're referring to the player or to the time. It's very confusing, but I'm following your train of thoughts, and I couldn't agree more. Things are shaping up to be a really exciting grand final. Nova Esports, their first seed is secured. The Trick of China, the more points they get now, the more they can stand out of the pack. And with the pack, I really mean TIG Origin, because right now they are still competing for second and third seed in the region, which can go a long way for Worlds. The better the seeding on paper, the easier your opponent is going to be, and that can make the whole difference whether you go all the way in Worlds or just go out first round.
Yeah, I mean, but before we get to Worlds, we're gonna have to find the trophy, Teddy. We still have not found it. It's been, I don't kind of question who is behind looking for this, because it's taken a while, but we have got a very important update.
Gone!
Maybe you should ask someone at the party that night.
Our evil plan is working. She has followed her orders.
Want to know a secret? I know who stole it!
I guess you're here for a confession. Heck, I bet you've had me pegged as the trophy thief since episode 3. Had it figured out for a while, didn't ya? Wrong! Come on! If it was me, there wouldn't be a gold coin left in that safe. Indulge me. Yeah, hacking the security system? Genius. Plus, their kit was real high-tech. But that motor grease spill? Give me a break! Anyway, they must have really had a grudge. Glad she ain't my kid.
You know, Ark, I did not like how rude Teddy was about me a few minutes ago when he was saying, you know, you've got all the insights, you should be casting. So you know what? We've kicked him off for the finals. It's you and me, Ark and Falcone, to the end of the show. You ready, Ark?
Yeah, I'm a bit scared, not gonna lie.
You don't need to be. Just because I had the power to kick Teddy off, it doesn't mean I'd do the same thing to you. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath. Well, welcome back. What did you think of the previous games? And yeah, I'm not going to jinx it, but I'm going to ask you, like, who do you think is going to come out on top?
I think Nova's going to come out on top because they usually do. But wow, these have been some fast games today, Ark. Both Nova Esports and Trick of China have been dominating their competition today. We've only had one match all day that's gone one set further than it had to, and that was the last quarterfinal match. I'm half expecting a 3-0 sweep here, but we'll see. We've got today Aspartame, versus Goodnight, Imp and White. I would like to think Trick of China will put up a good fight and that we will see something go all the way to set 5 here, but I don't know, just based on how today's been so far, it's been flying by.
I mean, you say a 3-0 for Coney, but a 3-0 in favor of what team? Because, like, honestly...
Nova.
Yeah, are we ready? You just like flying the Nova flag? Okay. I'm rooting for Trick of China, man. I gotta say, based on how they've been playing so far today and throughout the year, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But what's got to be said for sure is that Nova looks very, very, very good in their semi-final stage as well.
They did. It is worth noting that previously Trick and China and Nova have had very close finals. I believe last month Nova only just managed to take that dub with 3-2 victory. So being a little bit optimistic about Nova's abilities, or pessimistic about Trick of China. But I don't know. It's just a pattern of the day, Ark. Like I've not been able to believe how they must be the fastest 2 semifinals that we've ever had.
This is the thing. Like, in the past, we've seen, like, the scoreline being 3-1 in favor of Nova Esports against this matchup. But as time has gone on, the gap's been getting closer. And last month, we saw that 3-2. So, like, I kind of feel like if we're going to see a 3-0, then I don't think it's going to be in Nova's favor. It's just simply because of the trend. I'm very excited to see whether this is the month. You know, are Nova Esports going to be dethroned? Because again, they've not missed a beat. They've been monthly final winners in this region since we started at the very beginning back in March, and no one has been able to dismantle them yet.
No, not yet. Trick of China have come close though. This is going to be the 3rd consecutive month where they faced off in the finals. So, you know, Trick of China are giving a real good go of it. Trick of China also quite ahead of TIG Origin in points, but I believe TIG Origin still can overtake them. But if Trick of China do well in this finals, obviously that's much less likely to happen. Trick of China have really impressed me this year, Ark. Just generally, just to sort of zoom out a little bit, because I believe last year, you know, Nova Esports was sort of the dominant team, and TIG Origin was sort of well known as the 2nd dominant team. But Trick of China have really come out swinging this year, and obviously they've booked their spot to World Finals. They've really just been impressing in general.
Yeah, last year we saw TRG as being a real contender against Nova Esports, but this year we've seen the rise of Trick of China. And, again, it was a bit of a slow start. TRG Origin really kind of asserted their dominance and reminded ourselves of what we witnessed a little bit of last year. But, again, with those 3 qualification spots, we've seen a team that I think are truly worthy of that spot to rise up and to give this region just a great showing of skill. Factory Rush going to be the first map for Siege, Hot Potato, for Heist, Double Swoosh, for Gem Grab.
Whoa.
Ring of Fire could be a hot one and a tasty treat if we get to 4th set. Shooting Star is the bounty map for 5th, if we get that far.
I am loving this arc. A Siege into Heist beginnings for a final. Very... Well, not too similar, but they're the same style of game mode, right? Your objective is to destroy the object at the enemy spawn. You have to go through drastically different ways to get to that object. Obviously, Siege, you've got to put a little bit more work into getting the Siege bot, but very interesting finals we have ahead. Let's take a look at the bans, as I believe they are locked in and ready to go. Mortis, Sprout, Byron, Buzz. And you know what, Ark? This is the second time today I'm seeing Siege on the agenda and Mortis banned away.
Yeah, and again, I do feel like that's the right call. I think like Mortis is in such a good position right now, and Brawler, which we do see played out a fair bit in this region. Buzz again having great results today and is a real threat, one that can cycle very, very well and successfully on the super side of things. No Stu, no Bell, so I'm kind of be curious to see how much of those 2 brawlers we see. I think that Bell will be a great choice for Factory Rush personally. Spike as well has been a pretty decent pick today in terms of how many times we've seen it. Again, not one that I feel is worth banning myself, but still very much a threat. Leon as well. I agree with these bans a lot. Again, that Sprout pick that we've seen being played out a lot when it isn't banned, when it now is banned. I think that's definitely something on the concerns on the minds of Nova Esports there to eradicate.
Yes, definitely something to think about, and definitely something that they obviously have thought about. Like you said, Bell remains unbanned, Leon remains unbanned, Brock remains unbanned as well. Yeah. Another brawler that we might see a little bit of, especially if we get into the sort of later half of this match. There could be some exciting stuff ahead. It does seem as though these bans have been facilitated, specifically the Mortis and Buzz bans, around the sort of first few sets. So it could be interesting to see how things go in the later sets. We're looking at Shooting Star. We are looking at our Pipers, our Brocks, our Nannies, that kind of thing, our Ticks. All unbanned, all good to go, if we get that far. Yeah,
I'm very curious to see where we're going to start to see this back and forth occur in the sets, or whether it's going to be just a sweep on either side. And today, genuinely, it could be for either side. Already, Nova Esports coming out with the BB and the home run star power for that additional speed, and White did connect nicely. They're not quite able to secure the kill, but it will be a level 3 push for Nova early on. And this is going to be a defense for Trick of China they're going to have to make work out early on.
We saw a great elimination there from OU, taking out the other Bell, or just slowing Trick of China's defense down a little bit. Although that Siege bot isn't looking like it's dealing all that much damage. What's that, 10%, 12%? Okay, all right. The most important thing here, though, is that Nova Esports do have control of the mid. Can Trick of China wrestle that away from them? That's the question. So far, they're struggling.
Yeah, if Goodnight had a mark for that defense, it would have been a different story, I feel. But now they've already got to push and contest back into this mid. Nice shot there from Goodnight, but again, why not able to seal the deal yet? And the Spartan did bank that bolt, and now it's going to start to heal up on this left-hand side. And Rico's a pretty decent brawler to be able to contend on that left-hand side lane. So I feel like White's going to have to be landing and securing more of these kills here. It's another push coming in for Nova, and the bolt's not necessarily in favor at the moment of Trick of China.
No. They're slightly ahead if they can get control back. Not much damage has been dealt to the Ike, so, they have a shot. But it does all come down to this scrap for the final Siege, and OU is doing a great job of controlling the mid. Aspartem also making life difficult for White on the left.
Spartan's been great, honestly. He's been a real thorn in the side, and Nova have got complete control. It just seems like Trick of China have not been able to secure what they need to secure. That's a nice knockback from Aspartem, and the Spitball there as well coming in to try to secure the deal. But I don't see how Trick of China, yep, it's going to be a level 11 siege bot. There's no way now that Trick of China can really win this game. They need a dive, and there's no way to be in that position to do that at all. So, yeah, Nova have played this perfectly with a very, very aggressive start and just continuing that control of the mid. Trick of China couldn't get out of the spawn. OU and Today did a great job on their right-hand side of just keeping them back.
Yeah, I've got to say, Trick of China's defense on the against the siege bot wasn't so bad. You know, 3 siege bots went in, the Ike survived, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter, because if 3 siege bots are going in, it means no siege bots are going out, and you're not dealing any damage the other way. A solid win for Nova Esports.
Yeah, they really could have done better maybe on that left-hand side lane by swapping White over to the Stu to really kind of contest that, because Stu with that little range is going to struggle against the Reek on the right-hand side. But you see the 4 kills with Today. White struggling to gain any actually on that Rico pick. So I don't think it's necessarily a Brawl to change out for Trick of China, but maybe just it would have been a better lane changing decision that could have gone in their favor there. He was definitely struggling against that BB.
Yeah, BB was causing some real issues there. Just played beautifully, hiding in the grass, coming forward, using the knockback, and then retreating back into the grass again. Just really preventing Rico from doing anything significant. Honestly, that was just part of the strategy. On the other side of things, Nova's Bell was playing exceptionally well as well, hitting the shots, knocking out the other Bell over and over again. And you know, when you got 2 teams playing the same brawler, and one of those brawlers keeps taking out the other one, that is pretty significant. That leads to a huge advantage for the team that's winning there.
Yeah, and it is the first game, so Trick of China now maybe just starting to remember and remind themselves that Nova Esports do land a lot of those shots. Like you rightly say, OU was, being ruthless in that mid. He was just absolutely connecting with everything that he had. I don't know whether it's really the brawler comp which was the problem for Trick of China, more than it was maybe those lane decisions and just not securing the kills. You've really got to. White's going to actually swap to the BB pick, but yeah, I mean, the barley from Aspartam there, maybe just kind of preempting that would be something to expect.
Yeah, and look, White is getting destroyed by this barley. Just about manages to escape with that bolt, but is going to have to back off now and get that health back. Although pops the gadget, comes straight back in. White means business. Trick of China are going to secure the first siege bot. Nova Esports do have 2 bolts towards the next one, but still, this is the inverse of the previous game so far.
Yeah, no mark either for OU, so they're going to have to make sure they land a lot of these shots before it connects. Again, that control's so important to have off the back of these pushes. So Imp is going to be looking to really lock this one down. OU and Aspartam are pretty closely connected there. So yeah, good night with the pinch on the mid is going to be a really troublesome thing. That first push really is so important on Factory Rush to obtain for this very reason alone.
Yeah, Today just... Okay, is able... I was going to say isn't doing anything, but as I started that, Today did manage to get those hits on White. White has been pushed back, but not really hard enough or far enough, as that is now a level 7 siege bot coming in. 3 bolts banked forward to Nova Esports. Now, the 4th bolt just being grabbed by Aspartam. But, yeah, this is a big siege bot coming in, and Trick of China will be able to get control of the mid once more.
Yeah, it's marked this time, though, which will help, which is why you see Today going on the aggressive on the left-hand side lane, knowing that you should be able to take care for most part of it. Those nest decks may come into play, but M seems to be showing good awareness to their location. Today, though, that's still the deal on this left-hand side, and that's going to be Phil, a ball in the middle as well. There's going to be a lot of bolts being banked by Nova this time round, and they will get a push from this, surely.
Yeah, Today finding those 2 eliminations was huge. That is 6, 7, 8, 9 if Today banks that one as well. That is 9 bolts banked. 10 if Today can squeeze that one in, which I believe he can. Even 11, thanks to Aspartam banking that one on the right. Okay, they just need to deal 6% arc.
Yeah, that's not a tall order at all, really, when you think about it. A few barley bottles, again, that brawler is a key component here to have, because you can just go in over the top of Spartan there. It's going to seal it with that alone. That is great perseverance from Nova. I feel like, to be honest, Trick of China had some great opportunities in that game, much more so than they did in the first, and they were still unable to make it work.
Yeah, you know, Nova started on the back foot in that game, but like you said, great perseverance. They were able to fight and not quite lock down the mids for the second siege, but they were able to get a few bolts towards the last one. And then for the last siege where it really counted, they locked it down. And again, thanks to that fantastic defense, they only had to deal 6% damage. And like you said, there wasn't a tall order. Bell being able to mark that siege bot in that second siege was huge. Just very well played by Nova. Despite starting on the back foot, they were able to take this one down.
Yeah, that mark genuinely, like you say, was a big factor because it just meant that Nova were able to, regain that control faster. Today was able to go forwards and kind of leave it to the defense of OU. And again, something which I'm sure was a plan and communicated effectively. Spartan was able to hold that right-hand side there, staying so high up the map and just really bought his time, getting great value as well in those double connecting shots. So I felt like that was a big key factor there, and something that Nova really had to plan through and think through. That would have been a process which started prior to that bot even being spawned. I'm sure getting that mark so important there for that defense.
Yeah, just very. I want to say that was like a masterclass in Siege given to us by Nova Esports. It shows what to do when you're ahead. It shows what to do when you're behind. And now we'll have to see if they can keep things going in Heist, as we are playing on Hot Potato up next. It's Siege, but without the Siege bot, and without the Ike, and without the bolts. Okay, really, it's not actually anything like Siege, is it?
Not really, Falcone. Not gonna lie to you, mate. Not gonna lie to you. I mean, we have seen the Rico already, though, so there could be some similar kind of ideas being played out. And we have seen the BB, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that a little bit. It's again an idea which I haven't really seen being played out against a lot of the other regions, really. But we did see it a lot at the beginning of this year. BB here was very rife and a very good brawler to have, and going on that aggressive. Rico, obviously, as we've seen, kind of growing more and more so into the meta as of recent time, a great mid to have, but can have Bell have a factor here as well. Sometimes even Colette in that middle area. But I think Barley's a safe bet in terms of throw, because obviously that Sprout ban in play is going to make a big impact here.
I guess it's worth remembering that I believe Brock was not banned this time around either. Another brawler that could have an impact, destroying parts of the battlefield and also dealing a lot of damage. Brock is in a very good place in general at the moment. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned Colette. Colette is a brawler I always like to see on Heist. She is falling out of favor a little bit at the moment, but still very, very powerful. When you can get that sort of that chain in effect, where you're using your super on the enemy safe, getting the shield to protect you, dealing a little bit of damage to other brawlers, getting the super back in again. Colette can be very strong in Heist when used correctly.
I wonder whether we're going to see Edgar. Yeah, so that's great.
Wow.
It's kind of preempting the idea of the Rico pick, but that's not actually going to be seen. Daryl here is a bit underrated, not my go-to, but one that can close the gap. I actually really enjoy playing Daryl, but more so on Brawl Ball. Surge here for me, I'm not too sure. Definitely a bit out there in terms of the ideas here, but it's Tricker China going with the really tanky, aggressive idea. It's going to be Nova Esports that have got that kind of longer range option available to them, and I think that's going to go a long way here.
Well, Imp was able to make short work of the Brock there. Aspartame goes down. Obviously, now they're going to deal with the BB, but still, down to 67%. That's not a bad start from Tricker China. Brock is going to do what I pointed out beforehand and start destroying the battlefield. And of course, opening up the map against these close-range brawlers is going to be hugely beneficial for Nova Esports.
Exactly that. Tricker time on their hands. They've got that early damage, but they're going to really struggle as time goes on to go on the aggressive. But Imp having that home run star power will be a big factor in making this push forwards. And when that does happen, these walls that Nova haven't had the time to break in their own defense will be able to go a bit more into their hands.
Oh, today just about missing that super. Does not want to lose those upgrades, but thankfully OU is going to spawn in time and back him up. 26% on Nova's safe. Like you said, Tricker China are battling against the clock, but they're getting surprisingly close.
Spartan with a rocket fuel to the face there, breaking some cover as he went along. But to be fair, Tricker China are being successful in just continuously pushing the Nova safe, and this might be enough to do this. It's still a deal. 68. Oh,
that's
does get it in the end. But a big risk, a big risk there for Tricker China to go in with that comp, and I wasn't sure whether it was going to pay off.
Yeah, mad. I mean, again, if the game went on any longer, it looks like it probably wouldn't have paid off. Again, the wider the map gets, the better it gets for the long-range brawlers. But look at that. Trick of China were just able to brute force way through that last 20 or so %. And Nova Esports just couldn't do anything about it.
Well, again, you know, it is the third month in a row that they've played out in the grand finals, and it's always been Nova that have had the edge. At the moment, this could be that first little boost for Trick of China here, just to kind of get the morale going and get the communication flowing. That's the thing, really. If they can just start to claw their way back. It was a bit of a tough defeat in Siege, in all honesty. You know, Imp there with a 47% damage for his team, despite the even kills to death ratio. The damage was there as well with 28.7k damage.
Yeah, I mean, that is a lot of damage for sure. Nova find themselves on the back foot in this game of Heist, which is very interesting. We could be evening up the playing field here. As you can see on screen, you guys watching at home generally think that Nova are going to take this one home, but 58% versus 42%, that's not a drastic lead.
It's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, in all honesty. Especially, you know, when you consider that Nova Esports have always won at this stage every single month. It feels like there's a lot of fans rooting for Trick of China, and I can absolutely see why. Especially if they can get this next game under their belt, because that will put them in a fantastic spot. Coming out with the M's for Nova Esports could be a troublesome thing, but Daryl can actually counter that. But look at that. Just taken straight out of the mid, and OU and Aspartam, they're going to absolutely shred this for a safe, yeah.
It's a base race. Goodnight is hammering on Nova's base. White is trying to protect Trick of China's. Oh, okay. Goodnight had to back all the way off. Wow. Goodnight had to go all the way back.
Oh, beautiful roll from White, and the support was there. And as quickly as that, straight away Trick of China back on the Nova safe. The shots there from Goodnight working really well. This could be it. I mean, it's so back and forth.
Oh, OU on the M's there, pulling off some beautiful work. The gadget to slow things down. The super, obviously, to cause so much damage. Look how close this is. 36% to 37, but it is now Nova attacking the enemy safe. And I really do feel like M's was huge in that arc. The fact that it was all close-range brawlers and Ems is able to, you know, shoot her cone of an attack and literally cover everything in it, then use her super when desperate to just get the enemy brawlers off of the safe. I really felt like OU carried on the Ems there.
Yeah, it was and is one of those brawlers that can just absolutely go to town. I did feel like after that push, which Trick of China looked very, very strong, and they should have gone a bit more on defensive. They really kind of dropped the ball a little bit in that final stage and kind of went so much on the aggressive. And Nova were just like, well, okay, we're going to walk straight for the mid and leave you guys to it, because they had that advantage. They were right there, and you saw how quickly they were able to seal the deal at the end. OU again on that most used brawler being Bell, but no sign of Bell so far in this particular matchup. One kill to the one death, 43% team damage and a ton of damage to that safe again. But you're right, that M's pick I felt was what, you know, for me served so much value in that game.
I don't really know what to expect now, Ark. We've seen two drastically different strategies from Nova Esports. We've seen the long range and the close range. What are they going to do this time? The close range strategy seemed to work a little bit better, but if Trick of China are expecting it, they might have to mix things up again. We are about to find out. So no need to theorize for long. It is going to be the same again. We've got BB, Ems, and Edgar up against BB, Daryl, and Edgar. Same composition from both teams as last time.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be cautious to not put too much riding on White here. He's the best counter to the M's, but ultimately, you know, Aspartam is trying to back up that same combo. So I think Trick of China can do this, but they've got to honestly be a bit more cautious, a bit more methodical in their approach, and a bit more controlled. Good damage raining down now, though, as Goodnight there, getting some swipes. It's not quite too accurate on this Pitbull side of things so far, and on the other side as well, Nova Esports getting a good amount of damage as well.
Yeah, it's almost looking like Trick of China are going to have to retreat, but no, they keep going. Today, with a very nice super, it's going to get some damage on the Edgar. It's just a base race here. I don't even know how to call this. 9% versus 14. Ems is still on the base. No, Ems dies.
One jump and one roll. That's all it's going to take. And there's a jump for Nova.
Oh!
That is it.
Nova Esports take Heist, and we are moving on to set 3. Potentially the final set of the day. Ark, is my prophecy coming true? Will this be a 3-0 after all?
I felt like that was the moment that Trick of China needed to secure, because now with Nova Esports with 2 sets, I mean, that's like gold to them. They're going to ride off the back of that and feel really, really great about this, and it's going to put a ton of pressure on Trick of China. That, for me, was the chance to go 1 set each, and just a bit overly aggressive.
Oh, wow. Okay. Trick of China. They still want their opportunity to take down Nova. They still have the potential to reverse sweep Nova. It's never been done before, but that's not to say that today isn't the day where it can be done for the first time. But Nova Esports are just dominating today, Ark. They seem to know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the closest scoreline to, that we have really in the grand final in this region was the 3-2 last month. So other than that, it's always been a 3-0 or a 3-1 in favor of Nova Esports. If this was to be a reverse sweep potential on the cards here, if Nova win the next game and we see a complete reverse sweep, not only will that secure it being the first time it's happened in this region, but it will be an incredible thing to see, considering that Nova Esports have been getting this right in this series so far. Double swoosh, will it be the time for Trick of China to shine, or will Nova Esports seal the deal before the 4th set?
Well, it's time to find out. It's going to be double swoosh for potentially the last set of the day. Gem grab, the old classic Brawl Stars game type. The moment of truth for Trick of China. What do you think we can expect to see from them in this match, Ark? Obviously, I don't believe Leon was banned this time around. Potentially quite a good pick. Yeah, all of the bans seemed like they were catered towards Siege, right? There was the Mortis, the Buzz, etc.
Yeah, Byron, Buzz, Mortis, and Sprout. Yeah, I think Spike could be a decent brawler to have here. Tara as well, I think, is always a good shout to have. We haven't really seen any of Jean, and I still don't understand why. It hasn't been banned much. Seems to have dropped off the meta today, but I finally get the chance to see it with White there on Trick of China in the mid. OU going with the Piper pick. So White's going to struggle to get a pull really on OU. Ultimately, if he's got that jump to hand, Spartan going to be looking to burn as much of this as possible to really show his position, and that's a good takedown as Nova take mid control.
Yep, OU has the center quite nicely. Imp goes down. Nova Esports are backing off just because they don't need to stay in the center. They are protected by the grass. They've got more gems. They're in a good position. They do need to be a little bit careful of White, because a quick gene pull on OU could be enough to spin this game around. So they do need to keep an eye out for that.
Well, it's got jump as well in the mid, so always a good thing to have when you're good up against Gene. Good night pushing forwards now, but Spartan being very patient, low HP as well. Does able to juke this shot. Spartan there did so well for me. 3 gems dropped in the mid, and Imp takes a shot to the face. OU's got jump as well. Countdown for Nova Esports, and done very, very well.
I mean, Trick of China are pushing forwards. White is ready to use that super, trying to creep forwards, but OU knows where White is. White does not know where OU is. And there you go. Ark! Nova Esports find themselves already on match point.
But Falcon, the reverse sweep dream is now very much alive. Come on, we've got it can happen. It can happen.
All right, manifesting my best reverse sweep energy into this. We do not want our final to end in a 3-0. I'll tell you what, though, Nova do want their final to end in a 3-0. What a great dominant place to be in. That would be what, 7 monthly finals in a row?
Yeah, I feel like if Nova are able to get this next game, then I just don't see how they're going to be beaten this year at all. The way that Trick of China have played today has been so good. I mean, they've been absolutely on point. That 3-2 last month at this exact point in the competition, the closest scoreline in the grand finals that we've seen so far. But Nova have just been continuously keeping up with them along the way, and it's kind of insane to see.
Nova are just absorbing their prize money at this point, Ark. Every single month, they come along, they take their paycheck, they go home, they're like, okay, see you next month, and then see you at Worlds. All right, today on Bell, OU on Piper, Aspartame on Amber. We've got Brock, Jean, and Bell for Trick of China in what is potentially the final game of the day.
Okay, well, Trick of China have got to dig deep. They're bringing out the Brock pick on the left-hand side for Imp, and that rocket fuel has already broken up a lot of this back zone. But that nest egg from today coming in clutch, and that will allow him to push forwards on the left-hand side. White's going to be very cautious now, bouncing between both his attention between today and OU. I wonder how this Brock pick is going to fare as Nova Esports look maybe like they're under a bit more stress than they were in the previous game.
Yeah, I mean, this is a frantic battle in the center. Today can't quite find a good position and can't stand safely in the grass on the left side. Aspartame is just shooting fire everywhere, and White is able to collect another couple gems, but White goes down! A disaster for Trick of China, as today is going to move in, sweep up the gems, and we're on countdown, Ark!
Imp goes down as well to the nest egg, followed by the shot from today, and that surely is gonna be it. White is alone, he can pull, but what's he gonna do about it when he does? Goodnight coming in, but is it too little too late? I feel it is. Oh, he feels it is. That is gonna be it. Nova Esports continue to be undefeated in mainland China.
A 3-0 as well. I mean, yes, while Nova have been undefeated, I don't remember the last time they had a 3-0. I feel like usually these finals are a lot closer than that. So a huge congratulations to Nova Esports. They're just going to show they haven't lost it. Just an incredible performance. They remain undefeated in this region.
3-0's only in March and April to TIG Origins, so it's been a long time since we've seen it. And again, going from that 3-2 last month, that's a statement, Falcone. That is a serious statement. Again, Nova didn't need to really do anything today. They wanted the bragging rights, they wanted the prize money, of course, but that #1 seed is locked in. But still, they show us and everyone watching at home why they are the best in this region, and not hesitating or failing to miss that mark.
No, again and again and again. Every single month, Nova show up and Nova show up, you know?
Yeah. Oh.
And here was Double Swoosh, the final set of this match. And there you go. Today, creeping forwards, getting those gems, and then just eliminations left, right, and center. What can Trick of China do about that? Well, the answer is Trick of China can do absolutely nothing about that. Here is some stats. Aspartame, 27% team damage. Almost 2 eliminations for every time he was eliminated. Great stuff. Great team. GG. See you next month, Nova.
Yeah, exactly that. And oh my word, we've seen it all today. I mean, it's been very fast games for the most part. We've seen some insane moments as well. But congratulations to Nova. I mean, you know, the question now I have in my mind is, are they going to be the only team this year to just continuously knock out the competition every step of the way?
You know what question I have on my mind, Ark?
Hit me.
What does Teddy think?
Let's get him in.
Teddy? Teddy, are you there? Teddy? Ah, there he is.
I am there.
Hey, Teddy. What do you think of that final?
I think it was fairly one-sided, to be honest. But, you know, the legend continues, as we might see the perfect run. Would be, I think, the first perfect run ever in Brawl Stars, right? So. 8 monthly finals wins in the same season. That seems impossible, but that's what Nova is potentially looking at. And there's only 1 more month to go. They're almost there.
Obviously, these are all single elimination brackets as well. So what we're saying is not a single match loss. Nova literally have not experienced losing at all in the last 7 weeks. And here's one last little reminder of the bracket today. Nova's path. They did have a def win in round 1. They had a bye. Round 2, they took out No People with a 3-0 sweep, and then in round 3, Trick of China. You know, when a team like that have a def win, you don't really mind. Like, it's pretty clear they probably, whoever that team was, they were just going to dominate them anyway. But there you have it. Ark, what did you think of the mainland China region today?
Absolutely on fire. I mean, I was still holding out for Trick of China. I'm still rooting for them. There's still that last month, obviously, still to remain for them to cause an upset here. But I kind of worry now, was that the chance last month, and that chance is now gone. But regardless, I've got to say that it's one team that's really impressed me to watch their growth over the year and to see some up-and-comers. It's what this format and this tournament is all about. Bringing in fresh new talent and showing them they have the opportunity to do great things is, for me, a wondrous thing to see.
Yeah. Now, Teddy, points are pretty much locked up in this region, but why don't you go ahead and take us through this points leaderboard?
Well, if we look at the first seed, Nova Esports has almost 800 points. Just massive. They are far ahead. Trick of China, TIG Origin right behind. Really close to each other, only 31 points setting them apart, meaning that the next monthly finals will decide who will take second and who will take third seed. TKE, Talk, Genius, they're just a little bit too low in points and they cannot catch up anymore. But that top three, not quite sure who yet will take second or third seed. It's either going to be Trick of China or TIG Origin.
Yep. Either way, though, I think the most important thing is that as of today, those top three spots have been locked in. Other teams are unable to qualify for World Finals. You will be seeing TIG, Trick of China, and Nova Esports at World Finals in Bucharest in just a couple months. We are not that far away. And now, of course, next on our agenda is to go through the play of the day, which I believe was a cheeky little play that happened during the semi-finals at some point. So let's take a look. And Ark, why don't you run us through this?
I mean, what is there to say about this? I mean, this, as Teddy mentioned earlier, for me, has got to be one of the most incredible games of Hot Zone that I've ever seen. I was certain there was no way that Trick of China could do this. If you look at the scoreline again, it's in favor of TRG Origin. They get these final takedowns, but even then, I just felt that takedown was going to be enough. But look at the timer, look at the scoreline. The very final second to get that last percent, it was, I mean, look at us.
Look at your face.
Absolutely speechless.
That has to be one of the best games of Hot Zone you've ever seen, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, we made it into the replay, into the play of the day. That just says how excited we were about that one. That was wild, man. That was really, really impressive. And honestly, at that point, I think it was the same for both Ark and I. We just didn't know what to say. We were just there like what just happened?
Yeah, with good reason too. All right, well, now is the big graphic, the one we've been looking at after every show. Let's take a look at the world. Let's take a look at the world. Right, I'm going to run you through real quick. These are the teams that have qualified already. For LATAM South, we've got INTZ, and for LATAM South, that's it, INTZ. I believe Aphelion still haven't locked in their spot yet. For North America and LATAM North, Tribe Gaming, SCMN Esports, they have locked in their places. They are qualifying. For East Asia, Zace Division and Queen Nai, they have also both locked in their place. For EECA, Navi have locked in their place. For SESA and ANZ, Team Flash have locked in their place. For EMEA, it gets a little more complicated because of those 5 teams that have currently qualified, only 2 are locked in. That's SK Gaming and AC Milan Clash, which means Tribe, BK Rog, and Reply Totem are going to have to fight really hard next month. And of course, for Mainland China, Nova Esports, Trick of China, and TIG Origin have locked in their places. So to sum up, Aphelion's place isn't locked in, and those 3 EMEA teams that I just mentioned, their space isn't locked in either. So they are going to be the most exciting things to watch next month, at least in my opinion. We've also just had confirmation that Nova is not only undefeated in the monthly finals, but they haven't lost a monthly qualifier match either. Now, the monthly qualifiers aren't single elimination, so technically a team can lose a match and still qualify for monthly finals. Who cares? Nova just don't lose. They just don't lose, Teddy.
Yeah, I think format doesn't matter for them. It's just wins no matter what. And if you win every single match, you should be winning, quite a bit.
Yeah. One more point to make is that apparently Aphelion will lock in their spot, in theory, just by showing up. A little bit like the 2 teams today. So it's just really EMEA next month. EMEA is the region to watch. But we are not finished this month yet. LATAM South monthly finals will take place tomorrow at 4 p.m. BRT. Make sure you're there. Teddy, do you have any final thoughts on today?
Well, first of all, really, really exciting day. Had some great matches happening in this Mainland China region. A couple of shoutouts as usual, especially to Supercell, obviously, for making all of this happen, but also PGL, Vinix, and Esports Engine behind the scenes, putting in a ton of work to give you guys the show you deserve. And a big thank you to everyone that showed up, both players and viewers. Always lovely to interact with you guys. And Ark and Falcone, if you guys have anything else to say.
I love it, Teddy. You're doing my job for me. I don't need to do that at the end of the show now. Ark, have you got anything you'd like to add?
Very, much. Always a pleasure to be casting alongside yourselves. And again, to everyone watching at home, whether it be on Twitch or on YouTube, make sure you're following at Brawl_esports on Twitter. Do not miss any of the regions because there's always something to learn. This is the great thing about being in our positions. We get to watch the meta evolving across every single region, and it's only going to help your game when you go back into Brawl Stars to try things out that are new and fresh. But again, it's just a pleasure to be casting alongside yourselves, and massive shout out to all the players, coaches, and analysts, and everyone in the background to bring such class, world class, and skill to the game of Brawl Stars.
All right, and from me, what they said. Thank you to Supercell. Thank you to Esports Engine of Index. Thank you for watching at home. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow again at 4 p.m. BRT.